All right, so we are back with episode 7, I think, of PuckPod by BE Sports. I'm Brian. I'm here with David and Christian. At this point, you guys know how it is. David, how was your week?
It's been pretty good. Bit busy, but we keep moving.
Anything new or no?
Not really. I mean, I don't know if you wanted me to if you want me to lead on to that I went out last night. I don't know if that's what you were
How was
kind
it?
of thing. I had a pretty good weekend if that's what you want to think. You know what, man? I'll say it before. I've said it before to you guys, and I'll say it on this podcast. Pizza Wine Disco on King Street in Toronto is the best club you can go to. I've been to a few, not like too many in the city, but out of the ones that I've been to, hands down the best experience I've had. Twice, two times in a row now.
I will disagree with that.
I gotta go again so that I can confirm my initial thoughts because I liked it a lot too. I liked it a lot the one time I went. So gotta go again to see if it wasn't a one off. My week was very boring. If you ask me what I did this week, I have no idea. I have zero recollection. School basically, school yesterday, school today, school tomorrow. That's basically what my week is at right now.
I know what you'll be
What
doing.
about you,
F1
Brian?
thoughts?
I know what you'll be doing in 2 days at 1 p.m. At 1 p.m. on
Two days,
Tuesday.
1 p.m. Tuesday. I don't even know what number Tuesday is. What number is
November
Tuesday?
November 15th
15?
at 1 p.m.
15. I don't even know.
Is it
Oh yeah.
Pokemon?
No, I know what I'm doing.
No, it's
No,
not
no,
Pokemon.
no. That'll be that'll be
Oh
later in the
no.
week.
That's Friday.
Brian's alluding to the reverse retros is what I believe Brian's
Yeah.
Oh
alluding
my
to.
god,
Yeah, that's exciting, bro.
shopNHL.com.
Yes. I can't wait for those reverse retros.
Are you guys
It's
grabbing
gonna be
them?
fun to get it. Absolutely. I
I think
am.
so.
Yeah,
Who do you guys think on
I'm
the back?
100% gonna get it. I had a little thought yesterday. I was like, do I get David Kampf, bro? Do I really do it? David Kampf is becoming one of my favorite Leafs of freaking
He's
all time. Like he's
mm,
just I love just those random we say this every freaking podcast. The random dudes in the bottom six. Those are my favorite, man.
yeah.
Like
Christian, I
Alexei
think I'll do you one
Ponikarovsky, just
better.
random guys. Hit me.
I'll do you one better. Maybe a Dennis Mulligan reverse retro.
Hey, okay. And then
Wow.
Are you guys
he's
actually
having himself
considering it?
Yeah.
quite a
Genuinely.
I would honestly consider Camp. Like he's up for consideration for me. I feel like right now it's maybe Riley or Tavares leading the way just because of the style of the jersey. It's like very old fashioned Leaf style. I feel like that's more their thing. I still have the Bieber jersey from last year, and to me that's like a Nylander vibe, you know. So or Nylander or Marner. So it's got to be the right jersey with the right name. But
Don't you have
Camp is coming
sorry,
there.
don't you already have a Riley?
I do not. I only have a Matthews jersey. In the Matthews era, I have a rookie Matthews jersey. That was the first thing I bought. Yeah.
I thought you had a Kessel, like the Kessel era with Riley in the back.
Yes.
You-
No, not Riley. I've got a Kessel jersey. But it's like a knockoff.
oh,
Like
okay.
I know the exact point on the logo that has been faked. I can point to it. It's the Winter Classic jersey, and it's the fluffy leaf, and then there's just this one spot in the bottom left corner where instead of going sharp, it goes round. So it bothers me now that I know where it is. It's the stupidest thing ever, but it bothers me just a little bit. I save that for when we go play shinny outdoors in the winter. That's my go-to shinny jersey. So I can be Phil Kessel outside. You know.
Is it you that
Yeah.
has the Riley then, or am
I
I thinking of
like
somebody else?
no. The only one I have is I have my the Bieber jersey has no name on it because I was considering getting I was seriously considering getting bunting on that one. But
No,
I was
bro.
like, I don't know if I want to put a number on it because it comes out, you know what I mean? And I like to wear the reverse side as well.
It would ruin it. No.
So it
It just won't
doesn't
look
look
as
that
good,
great.
probably. Yeah.
Yeah, so I like it. I like it blank. But on this note though, I'm honest to God, seriously considering getting Tavares for this reverse retro. I do have a
Yeah.
Matthews jersey that's a fake that I got on Amazon for $100, like straight up $100. Matthews' rookie season. It does the job, but you could definitely tell, like, oh my god, the material is horrific. Like, it's
Yeah,
so bad.
we don't condone buying fakes. We recommend going
No,
to NHL
no,
Shop,
we
the NHL Shop.
NHLshop.com. Well, we never had that affiliate link before, so
Fair, fair, fair,
that's
fair,
just
fair, fair.
recently. So now we have the means. So if you want a reverse retro jersey, doesn't matter if like you want the Leafs, you want the Yotes, if you're a Blue Jackets fan, whoever, all 32 teams are welcome, all 32 fan bases. Just use our affiliate links down below. It's going to be in the comment section. We also okay. So my mom has a Doug Gilmour jersey from like 94. So, or actually, no, it was 93. So it was before my parents got married. My dad gifted my mom a Doug Gilmour jersey, like there was the blue jersey for her birthday, and then we still have it. It's in the closet. So
Isn't your
I
dad
wear that like
isn't
occasionally.
isn't your dad a Habs fan?
No, so he was a Nordiques fan, like off and on. Like he watched them, but like he wasn't a big fan. Um, and then he, came into our family. Like my mom's side of the family, like diehard Leaf fans. Like we go over every Saturday to my grandparents' house to watch Hockey Night in Canada. Um, I'll go like every year. I've been over to their house, or like we go over as a family to watch the season opener. It's been like that for at least about 10 years now. Yeah, so so he married in and
There he is.
became just as big of a Leaf fan as any of us, right? Like he gets really into it too.
That's
You don't want to see him when the Leafs are losing. Like it's pretty rough, but
I'm
yeah, good times.
to going back to myself. Well, starting with myself actually, my week was good, and for the reverse retro, I don't. There's three gut pretty people I'm considering. I don't know which one. I'm considering between Oshie, Carlson, and Ovechkin. I have an Ovechkin already, like the classic Capitals one, but I really want Oshie or Carlson. But like that's the Ovechkin jersey. You know what I mean? Like if you look at it, like that's like vintage Ovechkin. So that's what I'm
I
So
considering.
think
we
I
could
would probably
definitely
go Ovechkin.
we could definitely like troubleshoot this problem here, Brian. So the way that I like to look at like buying jerseys is if like your favorite player of all time, Ovi, right? Or is it
It's
is it
Backstrom.
JC?
It's Backstrom
Is it
actually.
Backstrom?
Yeah,
Okay. You don't have a Backstrom
I
jersey?
do have a Backstrom jersey. I have two.
Okay, so Backstrom I would say is out of the list. Like once you get one from one player, I would say like 1 to 2 is like good for one player. The next thing to consider is like the significance of it. So for Ovi, like these black jerseys were like the ones that he wore coming into the league,
Yep.
right? It was the black, but not with that logo. Like the logo
It was
was like
it was
earlier.
the Eagle. Yeah,
So you could go down that route and like kind of bring back the past, I would say,
but I've like
or you take like the Carlson road and like John Carlson's got the A on him. I always like getting stuff with like a captain or an assistant like an alternate captain as well. It just adds a little bit more to it. I don't know if you guys have like takes on this as well, but
I
that's
agree.
how I like process
I
buying a jersey.
I also like well Oshie's like an A when someone's injured, right? But Backstrom happens to be injured, so Oshie gets the A. But no, like I've always wanted Oshie. I've always wanted a Carlson. It's just not the right jersey for them, if that makes sense, right? But I don't know. I think I figured it out. But going into the Capitals,
I would lean Ovechkin there, man. Yeah, to me,
that's
that
what I'm
jersey is
thinking.
synonymous with the
Mhm.
The
on the
goal.
floor goal against the Coyotes. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
The goal that Austin Matthews was in the building for.
yeah, yeah. That's true. Um,
Wow. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
That's a
Wow.
crazy story, man. How things happen,
that's kind of
man. Okay,
the
it's
There's
literally a story you
another
literally
story
couldn't
like
write
that
off.
too.
which
Yeah,
is
there's I'm pretty sure it's Patrick Kane is in one of the hockey card photos of I forget who it's either like Pat LaFontaine or Gilbert Perreault. It's one of the Buffalo Sabres, one of their hockey cards. It's like 5-row Patrick Kane is at the front glass and you see him in the hockey card, which I find like really
What
cool as
about
well.
What about I don't know. Have you seen the video on YouTube that the Leafs put out, Christian, the Maple Leafs Forever? Which, listen,
Like
if you
I watch
have
that.
if
I
you
watch that
haven't seen
every
that
year,
video,
bro.
dude, that is my preseason hype up, my going into the playoffs hype up. I think I've watched that video legitimately 150 times. Like like
Gets me
that's
every
no
time, man.
exaggeration. It gets me right in the feels. Little known fact, I don't know. It might not be little known. Like
I know
me
you're
and
gonna
Christian
remember.
might know
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
but for other fans who might not know, Dougie Hamilton, who's from Toronto, grew up a big Leafs fan, is in the video as I believe he said he was like 5 years old at the time, and you could tell right away it's Dougie Hamilton. He's got the little orange hair, and he's just celebrating a goal, probably scored by Matt Sundin. Look like that era, right? Um,
Little,
yeah, it's just like crazy how life works sometimes.
another speaking of Dougie Hamilton, you know that he was actually selected with a Leafs pick. I'm pretty sure.
We're
Yes.
thoroughly aware,
We'll
Brian.
walk past that.
I didn't know he
We'll
was from
walk
the
past
Yeah,
GTA
that
though.
I mean,
statement
there's
right
also
now,
that other
but
guy, Tyler Sagan, who that was also like that
yeah.
was the
Oh,
same draft.
oh, you're right.
Well,
You're right.
There was also
yeah,
the Tyler Biggs pick, and when we could have picked who was in front of him, it was Ricard Raquel, uh,
John
John
Gibson
Gibson, I
after
think.
that.
Ooh, 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 ooh.
That's
We're not
funny
gonna get
We
into
actually.
can we
Leafs
can play this game all
stream,
day if
but
we wanted to. I think
oh
that'd be
man,
funny for
I
another.
actually didn't know that he was born in the GTA though. Like that's literally full
Who,
circle.
yeah.
Hamilton?
Yeah, I actually didn't know
Well,
that.
Sagan too, right? So yeah.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Not a lot of them. Chances are you go down the list of NHL players, and chances are a good
That's
portion of them
true.
were born in the GTA. So
Let's
that is starting to change though. So I have to say, like the development across North America and then in Europe, which actually we'll get
USA
to
national team.
after, with a certain Leafs legend we'll get into. The development across like North America and into Europe is it's actually astounding to see. Like, we're definitely making strides all across, and we're still producing great products here in the GTA as well. So, you know,
Let's get a little bit on topic. Well, that's 12 minutes already of just like
ooh,
random stuff.
spicy.
Let's get into the Caps for a bit. We had a pretty decent week. Clobbered Tampa. Obviously, there was a controversial hit. We'll get into that later. We got crushed by Pittsburgh, and then we beat Edmonton. Yeah, the Edmonton game might have been the best game of the season that I've seen, like entertainment wise at least. It was 5-4. You could obviously see that Connor McDavid is trying to drag a dead body across the finish line that game, but eventually they lost. Dylan Strome had a fantastic game, guys. Our power play was clicking. Blaine Forsyth, I apologize for everything I've ever said about you. I think that you're doing a fantastic job recently. Recently. Recently, as in like the past like 3 days, like the past 5 games. In
On
the
a minute to minute basis, you're in his good books.
in
Just for this minute, next minute is not assured.
in the past three
Fire him
three
off the
years
team.
ish or whatever you've been with us, yeah, not a fan. But in the past few games, you've been killing it. Dylan Strome on the puck, quarterbacking the power play, fantastic. You're utilizing his shot. It's so good to watch. We actually have a threat there because Kuznetsov's back in his comfort spot. It's amazing to watch. I mean, obviously we don't have the weapons. Everybody's hurt. Carlson came back. He's gonna be playing against Tampa tonight as well, which is good. Orlov skated this morning, so hopefully he'll be playing, but probably not. But uh, yeah, like I can't really complain at this point. At this point, if Ovechkin gets 40 goals and we somehow squeak into the playoffs, I'm satisfied. You guys probably saw the graphic: 40 million in like injuries. Take 40 million off any team. I bet your roster doesn't look as good as ours, so I can't really complain. And yeah, that's really all I have to say. I mean, besides the beating that we took by Pittsburgh, I don't know. I can't really complain against a win against Edmonton and a win against Tampa. And yeah,
Yeah, I mean, actually, I got a question for you. What position has Strome been playing on the power play? Where is he? The bumper slot, half wall?
he's in the backshore
What's he
spot,
been doing
like
there?
the half wall, like
Playing
in
half
the
wall.
backshore spot.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
What's his go-to method for goal scoring? Is he a 1T guy? Is he a lock and load? I feel like he's a lock and load. Like he wants that time and space to load
yes.
up and just rips it, right?
But
Yeah,
the thing
kind
that
of like a Tavares in that sense.
But the thing that I really like a
Mm.
lot is that he does this thing where he like cruises in a little bit, and then you can tell he looks for the pass, right? Or he will take the pass to Kuznetsov on the bumper sometimes, right? And
Yeah.
it's a little bit creative because you have to watch out because he has a laser beam, but he's low key a good passer. He's been performing really really well. I think that this signing of Dylan Strome and Sonny Milano, like those two signings might be the best signings of the year. I think that they're definitely in consideration for that, given the success of both of them. I know Milano has only been playing, like I think he's only played 3 games for us so far, but he has not disappointed. He's
He
definitely
scored against Tampa, right?
he did.
Oh, yeah, I was just about to say it came out of the box. Nice breakaway goal.
He
You honestly can't complain. I mean, I know like he was serving a call, but like it wasn't his call either. So like you can't even make that argument against him. Like he shouldn't have been in the box anyway. That wasn't on him either. So it was like I think that's like a double plus. You know what I mean?
he's
Like what else can you ask
the fact that he
from him?
wasn't like he was dropped by Anaheim, no one picked him up, signed by Hershey, and then he obviously got called up because of an injury situation, shows that like people don't see like offensive talent. Like I'm so glad we have him because it just makes up for what we've been lacking, right? Him and Strom together, two players that people have underlooked for so many years, and specifically after last season, right? And now they're both performing with us. I'm glad to see that they've making a name for themselves, and I hope that GMBM over there, he's gonna be willing to pay the dollars or something because it'd be nice to keep them here. We have to get younger. We have to kind of rebuild a roster, reshuffle, and this is the right way to do it.
First off, GMBM. That's an excellent nickname. Like I know it's not the first time I heard it, but I just like I'd be saying GMBM every day if I had Brian McClellan as my GM.
Rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, it does. And Brian, we were talking about Milano there. In between being dropped by Anaheim and signed by Hershey, he had a PTO in Calgary. The guy played games in the preseason for Calgary, and they said, "Yeah, we don't like what we're seeing here. See you later, buddy."
They would love him
So
right now.
it's
Oh yeah.
all I hear in the like whenever I hear something about Calgary through rumors, it's Calgary's looking for a forward. Wow, what a coincidence! But
You had
yeah, no,
him.
it's a good pickup. I mean, yeah, you kind of had one, but whatever. I guess there wasn't a blend there. It makes you think it's got to be something, not necessarily personality wise, but I don't know. For some reason,
Oh, and
coaches or GMs haven't been able to click with this guy.
I want to get into the Kubel situation after, but before I do, I just
Hmm.
want to shout out Orlov's replacement. Orlov's obviously hurt right now, and we have this guy that came up, Eric Gustafson. He's a left shot demon. He's actually really, really good offensively. He can play a pass. He sits on the power play at times. Very underrated. Fantastic player. I don't know like where he came from. I just saw him get
You
called
know,
up.
he
That's
had like a
not.
50
Is
point
that the?
season, bro.
Really? I didn't know that.
That's the Chicago Air Gustafson.
I didn't
No.
know that.
This
No.
is Chicago
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this guy probably like I want to say like 2018 or 2019. He had
Yeah, I think it was the
either a
year that they
50
got
or
swept.
yeah, he had like a 50 or 60 point season as a defenseman.
Mhm.
And then he played with on the World Championship team. I remember because I was paying a lot of attention to Willie that year. Willie was going off. That was one of his like back-to-back MVP tournaments there. And yeah, no, and then for whatever reason, he kind of fell off an absolute cliff. Like he was bouncing around everywhere. The offense was gone, and I know you alluded to him being good offensively, but the defense hasn't been good
Not
with
there.
him going back to his 50-point season. I know he was in Calgary at one point. Might have even been last season that he was with Calgary, maybe at the deadline. He might have even made a return to Chicago. But I'm happy to see that. Like I gotta put up 50 points. Like you'd like to think that it wasn't necessarily a one-off. So I hope he puts up even maybe 25, 30 points. That it gets you back into a respectable NHL status.
If Orlov comes back, our left side is Faravarvi, Gustafson, and Orlov. Like that's a solid left side,
That's
right?
good.
Right now, Irwin's
Yeah.
playing, right? I mean, I wouldn't say he's the best demon. He's definitely a seventh guy, but if Orlov
When
comes
I hear the
back,
name Matt Irwin, I just think
You
number
can't.
7. That's all that comes to my mind.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
You
yeah.
can't ask for much more from a defenseman like that, right? Like especially as a seventh D, like you're just looking for some points. The only thing, though, 100%, and I know it's been his biggest fault, is the defensive metrics from him just haven't like ever really looked great.
Yeah.
But if you get like just around average defense out of him, and he's able to like chip in with some points here or there, like you alluded to, 25 points from your seventh D man, especially in like in an injury crisis situation that you've been suffering, is like again, like Sonny Milano, it's like what more can you ask for? Actually, and one thing I want to bring up on Sonny Milano, um, he's already been through a few teams already, so I'd like to be inclined in saying like he was drafted by Columbus, didn't work out in Columbus. He did play under John Tortorella, who's notably not maybe the greatest person to always work with. Like he could definitely get on some nerves here and there. That's just his personality, right? And then he spent the last few seasons with the Ducks. You mentioned he had the PTO in Calgary, and it didn't work out. So maybe just like he just needs a place to like thrive and like for his personality to mesh, and it'll unlock the best out of him. And we thought we were starting to see that with the Ducks playing alongside Trevor Zegras. You know, stuff doesn't always work out. I think in a perfect world, if the cap had gone up, I know that the Ducks aren't in a cap crunch, but I think internally they might be. You know, they're a bit of a small market team, even though that they play in California. And for some people who might not know this, um, the cap is at 81.5 million, but some of those teams that produce smaller revenue shares, they have their own internal cap. So they could actually be at like a $65 million limit, which going off of what Anaheim like their actual like cap right now, that's about where they're at. So that kind of like has me inclined to think that they definitely did want to bring him back, but you know, circumstances just weren't lining up. And you know, maybe Milano has found his home in Washington, and maybe we'll see where that takes him from here.
It just
Same thing with Gustafson, you know?
it's just crazy for me, for Milano specifically, that legitimately 31 teams left him out. Actually, 32, because we did leave him out as well until obviously he went to Hershey and stuff. But no, I'm definitely open to keeping him around. Him and Strome specifically, fantastic guys. I'm glad to see that. Like, even though like we've been going through some tough times this season, we're able to kind of pull it together, get everything back together, and have something that's like watchable on the ice. You know, we're not watching a dead horse play. We're watching like a quality team, and I think that we can get into the playoffs. I genuinely do, even with all these injuries. Hopefully, we can get some guys back. Hopefully, the chemistry is still the same. Hopefully, we can do well again. But I I can't complain given the situation that we have here. And yeah,
You you bring up injuries. Let's also bring up suspension. I know we hinted at it earlier. The knack, Nick Kubel, former Leaf legends. What are your thoughts, Brian?
I think that that was a very dirty hit. I'm not gonna defend him. I know I've defended some of Wilson's actions in the past. You guys know. But in regards to that knock hit, that was 100% dirty, 100% uncalled for, and I'm glad that McMichael gets 3 games to play because Knock did get a 3-game suspension, I believe. Is it 3 games? Yeah.
Yeah.
So McMichael gets to play now. You guys know I've been begging Pierre Laviolette to give Connor McMichael a chance, and I guess this is it, right? He has 3 games to prove himself. I didn't think Knock would actually get into the roster, but I guess Laviolette really didn't like McMichael playing on the third line with Eller, and I feel like Abe Kubel just doesn't provide what I'm looking for. We have hitters on the team already, right? We have Dowd, we have Mantha, we have Hathaway, right? I mean, he's definitely a good guy to have on the reserves on the sideline or whatever as a scratched player, but I don't know. I prefer McMichael on the ice instead. Abe Kubel has
Alrighty,
not
Brian.
Abu Kubel has not really impressed me that much. I'll be honest with you guys, but I know what you guys mean. He's a solid third liner, gets in dirty and makes the big hits that we need, but he's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for more explosiveness, right? We have like I'm glad that we have him, but I don't know. He's not really a guy that I'm looking to see on this team long term.
A little stopgap option, basically.
Yeah. We also got to remember, would he even be claimed by us if we didn't have all these injuries? Probably not, right?
No, in a perfect
Good
world,
point.
definitely not. Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, what do you guys think about the hit?
I think we're in consensus, Dave, right? That was
Yeah.
pure chicken wing, basically only contact with the head. The hit was on Cal foot, I believe, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So it was good to see that he, as far as I know or have heard, nothing coming out of that injury, like from that hit, that he has an injury or anything, right? So it seems like he's good, which is he's lucky, and it was good to hear that. Yeah, I mean, Knack just kind of he's kind of just a straight line skater, just decent speed, physical guy. We know that, and we were talking before the podcast about how you were saying the puck just comes off his stick like every 2 seconds. Yeah. I mean, like my original position was I would have been a little bit more patient with him. I would have given him more of a chance, but at the end of the day, like you said, in reality, on most teams, he's maybe a healthy scratch. So yeah, we'll see what happens with him after the suspension. Maybe it'll wake him up.
One more thing before we get off Capitals, uh, and well, Caps Tampa specifically. We actually do play them tonight. We're recording this at 6 p.m. So the Caps game starts at 7. Um, so I remember in 2019 there was a game right before the playoffs. We played the Bolts, right? It was an absolute war, like legitimate war. It's the game that Kempney got injured and kind of threw his career off the rails a bit, and kind of ruined our playoff chances for that season and going forward. But I remember that game being an absolute power play, like crap show. Like the whole game, everybody's taking penalties, everybody's fighting. This kind of gave me visions of that game because the line brawl, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody just throwing hands and stuff. And I feel like this is a low key rivalry. Not a low key rivalry, but like two teams that obviously play with passion, two teams that obviously are a little bit bitter towards each other. And obviously, like it's not like a Pittsburgh, it's not like a Rangers comparison, but two teams that can definitely get underneath each other's skin, if that makes sense. And I'm always gonna be here for that. I mean, as a spectator as well, right? But yeah.
Well, I think
Mhm.
it's especially because like the two, like both you guys and like both teams have been like in the playoff hunt, cup hunt for close to 10 years. Like, sorry, longer than 10 years. Like, the Caps have been in the playoff like cup hunt for since like 2011, let's say, right? The Lightning maybe a couple years after that, like when they started like really building a dominant team. I think you guys have played them a few times in the playoffs as well.
We've only
I
played
don't
them
think there's
once.
any love lost.
We've only played
Was
them
the
once.
Oh, it's
conference
only been
finals,
one.
right?
Only once. Yep, in the conference final in 2018. Yep.
Oh, could have sworn there was like one or two more in there. But maybe that just like goes to show you like it seems like every time that those two teams play, there's no bit of love lost there. I would say maybe like a comparable for me and Christian would be maybe like the Jets. Like we're not in the same conference. I know that the Caps and the Lightning aren't in like they're in the same conference, two different divisions, so maybe that doesn't work out as well. But every time that the two teams play, like they're in the playoff picture, both teams. It's always a hard, tough matchup, and I kind of feel like it's something like that. But yeah, no, they're always good games though to watch. 100% entertainment value, 10 out of 10.
Let's get off the Capitals for a bit because I feel like we've been going on them for a while. Let's get into your team actually because you guys actually did us a favor by beating Pittsburgh. Did you guys beat Pittsburgh?
I
No,
wish.
OT loss.
Oh, you lost. Oh my goodness. Well, next time.
Yeah, OT.
Was that
No,
the first game of the week?
regulation loss.
Regulation loss.
Yeah,
That
regulation
was
loss
the
was Monday.
yeah, that was the second game of the week. We just to give the run
Mhm.
through of what happened this week in Leafland. First game was against Vegas. I'm already blanking on what the score was in that game. Remember, Dave?
4-3 overtime loss.
Yes. How can I forget Riley Smith OT
The
winner?
Riley
Yeah,
Smith too. Yeah, shorthanded
yeah.
goal and then OT winner. Yeah, yeah. Riley Smith
We'll
came up to play
revisit
that
that
night.
game. Yeah. So that was the first game. We'll get into that. We played Pittsburgh on Friday nights, which was an L. Was that a 4-2 loss? Did they get an empty netter? I'm already in. So yeah,
Yeah,
man, I'm already
4-2, 3-2 with
yeah.
the empty netter. Yeah,
Yep. So 4-2 loss on Friday, and then last night played Vancouver, and that was a thinking. Was it 3-2? It was 3-2, right?
yeah,
My
big
God,
W.
I nearly blanked on all these scores. Okay, Dave, let's go back to Vegas. Any thoughts from the Vegas game?
I'll be completely honest with you. That game happened on Monday or Tuesday, at like
Yeah,
just after like we recorded our previous episode and we posted our last like previous episode. I could definitely just say it like now, like the consistent theme for all three games, 100% has been brutal, brutal, brutal giveaways. Oh, actually, I do have one thing to say. That was the game where the giveaways were like they were like defensive bobble giveaways. It was like at the blue line,
yeah,
leading to two breakaway 2-on-1s. Like, listen, I understand stuff happens. You're playing a game on ice with blades for like feet, like shoe
yep.
blades, and you're playing with a little rubber puck, like that's like 10 inches or sorry, like 10 inches in diameter, I think. Stuff happens. Like I get it, but man, all three games consistently, there's been brutal, brutal giveaways. I'll say it again. They just throw pepperoni pizza slices right up the ice to the other team. I'm gonna keep using that. Like I really like that. It fits with my character, working as a pizza man. So that's gonna be my things. But
How
holy smokes,
how did you guys feel about Jack Eichel?
I just like watching him
he played
play.
really well.
He's not too shabby. He's kind of all right at hockey, right?
He's a good guy.
He is
Real
so
good player.
fun to watch, man.
No, he's really good, and I just remembered right now saying this to Dave during the game. Is he's got I think it was Mike Johnston on TSN who brought it up. He's kind of got that same stride as Nylander, where they're both such effortless skaters that you feel like they're not always trying 100%, but they are. And Jack Eichel's got a bit of that just lackadaisical, just half power looking stride, but
It's
then,
fast.
then you're looking, it's a hat trick. Yeah, he's fast. It's an unconventional stride. Doesn't look the most traditional, but he gets the job done. He's got some absolute dangles. He can rip it and dip it. Like the guy can do it all. And we forget this. It's not brought up enough. Like this guy plays in the same division as McDavid now. How lucky are we that's going on, right? Like it used to be just twice a year, Buffalo and Edmonton. Now we got them in the same division. Could you imagine we get a Vegas Edmonton playoff series, man? Like, oh my god.
Not likely.
Um,
Not
I still
likely
want to
this
see a battle
season.
of Alberta.
not. I don't
I
know.
still
You
want to
might
see
have
a
Edmonton the
yeah.
wild card the way the goaltending plays, right? I know
Ooh,
we think they're a
that
contender,
whole
but
conference is
yeah,
that whole
it's a
conference is
very weird conference right now.
division.
They're
That whole division is like it's literally physically like impossible for 7 of the 9 teams to be that bad. I put in our chat sometime, I think it was this week. 7 of the 9 teams. I don't know if it's changed now. They were in the red in terms of goal difference. That could have changed. I know Seattle benefited a lot from being on a 5 or 6 game win streak at the time, and they were just clearing they were clearing into the green by like 4 or 5 goals. So man, if Seattle was playing like they were last season, that's 8 of your 9 teams in that division that are just brutal defensively. Either they can't score or they can't defend. And in Edmonton's case, it's they just can't defend. So I don't know.
Yeah, Vegas is 100% class of that division through and through, probably wire to wire for being honest. Yeah, I mean, specific to that game, it like Dave said, lots of turnovers, and I would say I'd categorize that game as the first time the Leafs were quote unquote beat this season. And when I say that, I'm not trying to be like some super optimist or Leaf homer here. I'm saying that in the sense that the Leafs played what I would call a complete effort, not necessarily 60 minutes, but let's say 45 to 50. They gave that complete effort and still lost. And like Dave mentioned, it's just giveaways. Giveaways take place in snap of a second, right? They're not these elapsed amount of time in the period where it's like 5 minutes hemmed in our own zone. That's not what this game was. This game was we're playing well, we're playing with speed, and then all of a sudden just brain lapse, brain fart, pucks in the back of our net. Sandin was to blame on one. Liljegren was to blame on one, despite having a 2-goal game. He was on fire that game. But even he was critical to him about himself in the intermission interview with Mark Masters. So yeah, those two turnovers. I remember Willie didn't have a good look on one of them. And the overtime goal, like we alluded to earlier, the Riley Smith, that dangle, it was dirty. But, I mean, can you ask for anything easier to score in terms of he's at the blue line where he receives the puck and there's not a Leaf in sight? All the Leafs are basically at the blue line in line with him. He had just like a free breakaway. And, yeah, like my complaint with that overtime winner was, like, you could tell it actually goes back to before overtime. We had a power play to end the third period. We had the big guys out there. Keefe had the big guys out there. And instead of switching off of them to start overtime, we stayed with Matthews and Marner and Riley, who were not necessarily gassed, but still feeling the effects of the same shift that they just came off of. And they had a set play off the face-off where either Matthews or Marner darted the zone, expecting a face-off win, and it burned us. It burned us. I would prefer in overtime, and it's obviously a lot easier to say this after the fact that we've been scored, but that really just solidified, like, I would prefer if we don't have these set plays off of a face-off, because in overtime, if you get burned on those, that is a
going the other way.
Chance. That is the game right there. Just react to the play. We have the more skilled players 9 times out of 10. Only team you'd say maybe not is Edmonton if they've got Draisaitl and McDavid out there. Every other time we've probably got the more skilled players. Or those guys honestly 100%. But yeah, like, I don't know. Shalgren was okay in that game, so I'd say those are my Vegas thoughts. And then we moved on to Pittsburgh. Dave, you have anything out there?
Dude, I mean, like, listen, like, Shalgren's been actually, like, relatively good all 3 games.
Yeah, man.
And even the games before that he was playing, like, at the end of the day, he's your third / I still call him the 4th-string goalie. I think if Joseph Woll wasn't hurt, I think Joseph Woll might legitimately would have gotten that call up instead. Mm-hmm. And we know this because Joseph Woll was the call up first, and then he got injured last season, which forced the Leafs to call up Shalgren.
Who's your backup right now if Shalgren is your starter?
Big boy Keith Petruzzelli. Keith Petruzzelli he was an undrafted. I believe he was from college, and the Marlies signed him.
Good for him. Then.
He posted a 6-0 record with the Marlies this season already. He's been playing pretty well, pretty lights out for them so far. I'll be honest with you, I kind of hope he gets a look at something. Maybe that game against Pittsburgh. Actually, I have this in my notes right now, so I would like to see Petruzzelli get into a game. Let Shalgren take backup duties just before Murray comes back, just to see what you've got here. If you could, like, get a good game out of Petruzzelli, you get the win. That's great, but potentially that could be a road for you in the future when one of these guys goes down. Maybe Shalgren goes down or something like that, and you can't rely on him. Now you have another option in the back there. And then if he gets burnt, like, at the end of the day, like, he coming into
that's
this
what the expectation
game, that's
is.
Like, he's like your 6th-string goalie at the end of the day. Like, what are you gonna do, right? So
one more thing before you guys go back.
I'd like to see him get a game.
One more thing before I cut you. Before you guys go back to Pittsburgh, is he from Woodbridge?
I have no idea.
Okay.
You're basing that just off of
very
name.
How dude? Yeah, no, Brian. You see what happens
he's
here.
From 2 places. He's from either 2 places: Woodbridge, Ontario, or Brooklyn, New York. There's no in between. With a name like Petruzzelli, that guy's the owner of Sal's Pizza Shop. Like, his family's the owner of, like, Sal's Pizza Shop in Brooklyn. Because
you guys signed him from the Marlies, right? So I'm thinking, like, he has to be local. And it's, like, obviously, like, Petruzzelli, Italian last name.
I'll explain it to you, Brian. Okay, so listen. Coming into this season, we were at a deficit for Italian-named players with 2 Z's in their last name. We just lost Jason Spezza, right? So there's one guy gone. And then we entered the season. Jake Muzzin's hurt. There's another guy with double Z in his last name gone. So we had to fill this void, Brian. This is a very important void. And we also have Nick Abruzzese, as I like to call him in the wings. I know it's Abruzzese, but
Abruzzese.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Abruzzese.
It's
I
Abruzzese.
don't know. I don't know because like the commentators say something different than what I think, and then someone else I think we're right that it's Abruzzese, right?
Yeah, you would assume it's like
He's gone
that.
on
Those don't
record,
know
though.
means they are Italian, so we're right.
Yeah.
But
I know he's gone on record to say that he wants it, I think, pronounced Abruzzese, like Abruzzese, like kind of pronouncing those
Okay.
two Z's, which are, it's just like, in the Italian language, for those that don't know,
That sounds
those
awkward.
two words, they make a completely different sound. So like, technically it's Abruzzese, which is actually like Abruzzo is a part of it. Like it's I think it's a province in Italy.
It's a region, yeah.
Something like that. It's a region in Italy, so that's where that name comes from.
How do I know
don't
that
if he's
you
actually
don't?
from there. That dude.
Anyway,
I know too much, just like not enough. One thing before one more thing about Petruzzelli. He's from Wilbraham, Massachusetts. So neither of the two
trade
places
him to the
that we were saying.
Bruins.
he's gone, guys.
He's a good old mass head. So that's always good to know.
All right, go
All right.
back
well,
to.
you know what? I guess he doesn't need to play against Pittsburgh. Going back to the original Pittsburgh game, though, did you want to talk a little bit about the pre-festivities before this game?
Okay, yeah. So before the game, so that's the annual Hockey Hall of Fame night. So every year, they induct, like, the players get inducted into the Hall of Fame. I believe tomorrow night is the actual ceremony. They had their plaques done that day before the game. They had the guys on, so that would have been Daniel Alfredson, Roberto Luongo. I know both of the Sedins I believe, are inducted, but I think Henrik wasn't able to attend, or maybe it was Daniel. I forget. And then a couple other names that I'm blanking on. I know Riikka Salonen, who's like one of the all-time great Finnish women hockey players. If you look at her stats, she's got a real resume. She played till she was like 45. Unbelievable.
Damn, Tom Brady over there, eh? Wow.
Yeah, I think she might be better. No offense,
Damn,
Tom.
yeah.
Tom Brady might have to play till like he's 60 after FTX. If you guys don't,
Ooh,
if you guys,
that's tough.
Yeah.
That's a real
Right, with
tough-
your business
tough look
talk.
for him.
We'll leave that for later. What was I going to say now? There was someone, Herb Carnegie. Herb Carnegie was either
Herb
the
Carnegie is
constructor
another
or and I always
I think
remember
it's the
Herb
builders.
Carnegie because I used to play. Yeah, builder. That's the term. Yeah, I always remember Herb Carnegie because I used to play hockey games at Herb Carnegie Arena in Toronto. So I always like that arena. So shout out to Herb Carnegie.
A little bit of a history
Shout
thing.
out.
Speaking of Carnegie, do you know who actually like built Pittsburgh, like from the ground up? Like he was like the main famous figurehead.
Caesar.
His name is Andrew Carnegie, actually.
Okay, is there any relation or
No relation,
Probably
right?
not. Probably not. No, Andrew
Probably no
Carnegie was
relation,
like 1800s.
Isn't
Oh, okay.
isn't that like Carnegie Hall in New York? Isn't that
Yes,
who
yes.
he's named after?
Yeah,
I believe.
They're
Yeah.
they're
I know I've heard the name.
he's a steel, like he was in steel production, like he had the recipe to steel, which is why the Steelers are named Steelers. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, that's a real big city for that. The U.S. Steel at one point was legitimately one of the largest corporations like in the world, and that's why like Pittsburgh for a long time was a booming city. We don't have to get into it, but like
we're not gonna get into
very
that.
very interesting to find out. I didn't know about Andrew Carnegie though. Actually, that's really interesting.
And anyway,
so the big takeaway actually from the beginning of that Leaf game was legendary Swedish Leafs defenseman Börje Salming was brought out onto the ice. So for those of you that don't know, Börje Salming was diagnosed with ALS, I believe last year. It took him a little bit of time to, announce it in public. He wanted to keep it private for a little bit, and unfortunately, it's been taking a toll on him. And back, I think last month, he posted a video with him and his wife, to the point where he's speaking through an iPad. His motor skills are are starting to go. He's not unable to speak. Has to be fed through feeding tubes. It's not a pretty sight by any stretch of the imagination. But the main takeaway was he's on the ice with on like the mat on the ice with legendary Leaf captains Daryl Sittler and Matt Sundin. Also noted Swede Matt Sundin as well. And the crowd gives him an ovation that I haven't seen in a long time, and a well-deserved ovation. It was at least a few minutes long, and it really got to everybody to see, Daryl Sittler started to break down on the ice, which was, absolutely like just like pulling at the heartstrings. It looked like Matt was actually about to like start to cry, and he's known as somebody who's real like stoic, like not one to show emotion, and it was starting to get to him as well. And of course Salming is visibly emotional as well, which really started to get to me a lot. So for Salming, like I don't know if you guys know this, but like in my family, Börje Salming is like one of our all-time favorite hockey players. Him and Sittler, like I grew up watching highlights of those two guys just absolutely crushing stuff in the 70s. I guess I'll get into a little bit of the Salming talk before we get into the rest of the games and stuff. One thing to note, so they had Salming there because the night after, so yesterday night against Vancouver, they had a formal ceremony for him, which was, I believe, was pre-planned. They just had him in the game before, and then they were going to do the actual ceremony the night after, which is also, again, heartwarming, touching. Please go watch the video that the Leafs posted about Salming. So just a couple of things that I wanted to note on Börje Salming. I know Bryan isn't, and this isn't a slight at you, Bryan, but I feel that Börje Salming kind of goes under the radar when talking about legendary European hockey players in general. So he broke barriers for all European hockey players around. Like he was one of the very first European hockey players at a time when the Swedes in the National Hockey League were seen as chicken Swedes, and that type of like stereotype was perpetuated through the media around North American hockey circles. So we don't need to say names on, but there's one name in particular that comes to mind that always perpetuated that stereotype. We'll avoid that subject for another time, maybe.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So So he is the first European player to play in 1,000 NHL games. He was also one of the very first Europeans inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame. He is the current Leafs defense leader for points as a defenseman and goals as well. He is also the franchise leader in assists. He also won the Viking Award 3 times. Do any of you know what the Viking Award is?
Best beard in the league.
Best Swedish player in international competition? I don't know.
That doesn't make sense. It's got to be something Swedish.
It is the voted on best Swedish hockey player, voted on like in the NHL, and at the time when the WHA was around still as well.
Okay.
And I didn't know this either. They still give out this award. I guess it's not highly publicized, but like recently, like Erik Karlsson won it.
Nylander, I think Nylander might have won this, man.
He might have. I don't know actually. I don't think so. Matt Sundin won it 3 times.
Okay.
Börje Salming won it 3 times. He was one of the very first winners. It's just something that's not publicized. So, listen, the point that I'm getting to this about this little thing is, unfortunately, it looks like Salming's health is starting to deteriorate in front of our eyes in real time. But it's also something to look back at. He was legitimately one of the best defensemen in the NHL. While he might not have all the accolades to kind of like back up that statement, like he never won a Norris Trophy. It's also tough when you're going up against Bobby Orr in the 70s.
That's what I was going to say.
That could be a bit forgiven, right? But on many teams, he was somebody, and you could see all of his teammates say the same thing. If you're gonna go into battle, that's a guy that you want on your team. He's like take no nonsense. He really started to break down those barriers of the chicken Swede philosophy. He was instrumental in like breaking down those barriers, and it's just something to note. And we wish him all the best here. I don't know if I mentioned the disease. I believe I said it before, but
Yep.
ALS, the real like degenerative spinal disease. And a lot of talk's been going on recently for ALS, and we wish him all the best. Yeah.
Is he on what's it called? Like you guys have
Legends
like
Row.
that's what it's called. Is he on there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he was one of the first
Yep.
one
Oh,
of the first there.
I actually didn't know.
Yep. David, I think you did a fantastic job paying tribute to Börje there. I can't add too much because you hit all the stuff there, and just echoing things you said. Legend, absolute legend. So happy that he got that ovation. As sad as it was to see how emotional everyone was getting, it was also great to have that moment. It was good to see the emotions flowing. It was just we forget like that. Just the Leafs are this historical franchise, despite all the jokes that get thrown at us, we make at ourselves, all this good stuff. There is a storied history to these guys, and he's among the most storied. So yeah, that's it's a little bit on Börje Salming there. I myself feel guilty of having to do a deep dive into Börje, watch some highlights, and just educate myself on a Leaf legend right there. I obviously know him in name, we know of his accolades, but yeah, I'm gonna look up some stuff at some point just to actually watch the guy play, get an appreciation for him.
There's
So yeah,
oh
yeah,
sorry.
Dave, Brian, what you got?
Just one. So this is probably the only thing I gotta have to say about this. But shout out to the Leafs organization and the Vancouver Canucks organization. I saw the ceremony in the sense that Ekman Larsson, Nylander, ceremonial
Yeah,
face-off, and then I believe you guys started five
all
Swedes,
six suits,
six. Oh,
all
your
six, the
keeper
goalie
too.
as well.
Yeah, good for you
Yeah,
guys,
Yeah.
man.
yeah, that was a class
That
move. It
was even
sounded like it
mhm.
was Keefe that took the initiative on that one from his press conference after the game. So shout out to Keefe, shout out to the Leafs org, very
Well
class
done.
act.
Yep.
And we
Yeah.
could tell from the players' comments as well. I think Sandine and Nylander specifically, we heard from them, and it meant a lot to them. Not only last night, but also just the ceremony on the Friday night during the Hall of Fame game. They were all touched by that, and yeah, I mean, shout out to Borja, and from there we'll make the hard transition into actual hockey. And in the case of the Leafs, it wasn't necessarily the best hockey on Friday nights. They came out pretty. Actually, no, I shouldn't say they came out sluggish on Friday night, but it was more the same from the Vegas game in terms of the theme, defensive lapses. Outside of that, it was a pretty mundane game, despite the hoopla around it. Do you have anything specific from the Pittsburgh game, Dave?
Um, I listen. I won't fault them for the effort there. Again, like you said, the defensive
The
lapses,
circumstances,
and
yeah.
yeah, dude, did a Givdy Malkin shove it in the Leafs' face more than once
Yeah.
that night?
Oh my.
Holy smokes!
I don't like angry Evgeny Malkin. I prefer when he's bored out of his
PTSD up
mind.
there, eh, Brian?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I think that he goes under the radar, man. It's actually ridiculous how good he is and how little credit he's gotten just because he plays on Crosby's team, right?
Sidney
Speaking of that,
Crosby.
I kind of guiltily wanted him to not return to Pittsburgh just to see him somewhere else. Like it just, I know it's stupid to say because he's a legend in Pittsburgh, and ideally you probably want him to play one team his whole career. But I just wanted to see what it would look like away from Crosby, didn't you guys? I was curious. I
Yeah,
can admit that.
I did too. I agree with you 100%.
Going back to Pittsburgh and Malkin anyway. Sorry to cut you guys off about your Leafs Pittsburgh game because like
Okay.
we played Pittsburgh too this week. It's
Yeah,
crazy how like how the backstrom of Ovechkin, Malkin, Crosby thing has been going on for over a decade now. Like it's getting to the point where like they're just running like they're just going through teams, changing guys up left, right, and center. But these guys are just there as a centerpiece, the cornerstones, and we got to see them battle for how many years. It's it's gonna be different in a couple years when they're all out of it, right? But I don't know. It's especially for me. Like I've seen Malkin Crosby destroy us. I've seen us give it to them too, and it's just an interesting rivalry. And I don't know if we're gonna get something like that going forward. Like I don't. There's nothing that speak out to me like a 1-2 punch
The
versus a 1-2
key,
punch. Similar.
yeah, the key there is that they're in the same division, right?
Yep.
That is the key. We have obviously 1-2 punches around the league still. Matthews, Marner, McKinnon, if you want to say McKinnon, McCarr, McDavid, Draisaitl, but it's that specifically the two forwards against the other two forwards. It's just there's something about that where it's just firepower. We might not see that for a while, right? So that's a good point made by you, Dave. You got something there?
One thing I wanted to say is like how crazy like the parallels are between the four players in question here. It's you have like the superstar, while in terms of playing styles, the two superstars are vastly different. Like you have Ovi, the pure goal scorer, and Crosby, the more all well-rounded hockey player. Whether or not like whichever pick you want to go with, I know Brian's answer, it's up for debate. And then you also have the unsung hero in the background as your secondary star in Malkin and Backstrom, who like on all other teams, like those two guys are faces of the franchise for 10, 15 years. It's going on 15, almost 20 years now for a few of those, for most of those guys, right? When was Backstrom drafted?
7, like 2007.
2007.
So we're at 15 years. We're at the better part of 2 decades now. Crazy.
Yeah.
That's
Crazy.
nuts,
That's
man.
insane.
One more thing. Ovechkin and Crosby went into that game that we lost, like tied on points, which is pretty interesting.
That's
Insane.
one of the wildest stats I've ever seen in my lifetime.
Storybook stuff, man. Storybook stuff. Like we need full-fledged documentaries on this stuff once it's all said and done between Ovechkin, Crosby, and Malkin, Backstrom. Like, just no. I don't even want to think about it. I don't want to think about them not in the league. No.
I
getting
think
there.
definitely 100%. When all four of those players retire, we need a retrospective immediately, a retrospective on both of those two teams' dynasties, because I think those two teams, whether or not like they've always been, the cream of the crop, I would say for the most part, for the better part of 20 years now, those two teams have been the model organization. I know the Pens have won 3 cups in that time. The Caps have won once. But like at the end of the day, like I want to see Crosby, like a documentary, like a Last Dance type of documentary,
Yeah.
but for those two teams. Like I think that'd be fantastic to see.
Before we get off this topic, and go back to Leafs Pens, because like we still haven't get on to that yet. The one thing I do want to see, is all 4 of them inducted together. I think that would be pretty good. I think that would be pretty awesome.
It's while that would be awesome. I was thinking about this as we were talking about it. I don't know, like how is the timing going to end up here? Because Ovechkin's got something to chase. He has a legacy to chase here with the goal scoring record. I hope that we can see them all retire within the same year or two. That would be super cool. But I don't know if it's going to line up that way. I hope so.
If it happens to be like, I think that they should all go in together, all 4 of them, just because they define a legacy and a generation together.
It would be so, like, just imagine they all retire same day. They do a press conference together despite being on different teams. Next season, first game, Caps versus Pens. You put their banners in one arena, then you do a home and home. You go to the next arena. Like, oh my God, storybook stuff.
That's the way to do it.
Knowing the NHL marketing,
Yeah.
if
Knowing
the
the NHL, they're
line up
having
like
a
that,
global
that's
series. You're going to play a global series in, I don't know. Yeah. Okay.
Magnitogorsk, Russia.
Okay. Back to the only thing that matters, the Maple Leafs, right? Nothing else matters in the NHL. Okay, the Leafs.
There's no other teams.
I'm actually gonna cut it there. I'm actually gonna say, all right, guys, we're at the 1 hour break. Let's take the break. What we typically do, and then we'll get into Leafs. Penguins. Leafs Penguins for the 6th time.
Yeah.
Funny how that works out. All right, let's take a quick break. All right, guys, we're back. Sorry about that. I cut it off at the hour mark, like for the break, typically because I have to use the washroom. And we're good to go now. All right, guys, kick it away. Leafs Pens for the seventh time.
So if you guys are watching
Take
the
it away,
YouTube video,
Christian.
you see there's a little plaque behind Bryan. That's actually, and there's four little slits there. So he actually is the four-time defending Guinness World Record holder for smallest bladder. I just wanted to point that out to everyone. Okay.
It's so bad, guys. Like I don't know what's like every hour on. It's almost like on a schedule, like right down to the minute of the hour. It's like I have to go to the washroom. I don't know what it is. But in all seriousness,
Brian's biology lesson is a story for another time. What do you want to say there, Brian? No,
in
you're saying
in all seriousness, I just wanted to show off this plaque. It's a Stanley Cup memorabilia from the Capitals.
All right, well, screw
I
you,
just
because,
want to let you guys
relate.
know that because hopefully one day you guys will have one as well.
Here's mine. You see mine? It's beautiful. Okay.
Sorry, one that's not in black and white. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh.
Ouch. Ouch. As I'm wearing my retro Leafs sweater. God dang it. Okay. Back to what I was saying before. The only thing that matters is the Leafs. Okay. Yeah, I was just looking at the score sheet there, just jogging my memory about that Pittsburgh game. So we had another goal by the Czar, Zach Aston Reese. So just wanted to point out once again they had another good game, that fourth line against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Malgin was once again shaking and baking. David Kampf doing David Kampf things, and the Czar giving the good old reverse Uno to the Pittsburgh Penguins, where a Leaf scores on his former team. It's nice to see that for a change, right? So that was cool. We then had the Malkin goal where he shoved it in our face after two consecutive penalties, followed by that Jason Zucker goal where he just went old-time hockey because he was left alone in the slot after defensive breakdown. I believe Justin Hall was victim on that one, where Zucker's just in the slot. There's nobody there. He says, well, screw it. Let's just take a clapper 5 feet away from the goalie's face. It works pretty well. He scores. That was just... I have nothing bad to say about that goal. I like seeing those goals, honestly. I love when a dude just walks in at a breakaway. Yeah, what's up?
Note that pass from Malkin,
Mm-hmm.
like that, and that happened like I think it was like 5 or 10 minutes after he scored. I believe it was on the power play, or could have been 5-on-5. I honest to God don't remember.
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
And so one thing I'll say is Malkin in the first period was getting pissed with some of those stick infractions that he was taking. So he took 2 straight penalties in the first period, came out of the box and was on a mission, and he definitely succeeded to the point where when he scored, he like almost went right up to the ref's face and was like did the tripping signal right in his face. And I'm like, dude, if that's any other player, they're getting they're getting picked on for the rest of the game, but because it's Malkin, like, what are you going to do? You're going to fight a 6'5" Russian bear? I don't think so. Like
Malkin has a colored history with referees. Like you said there, he took 2 trips to the penalty box. He finds his way to the penalty box really easily. He doesn't need a map. So yeah, you make a good point. That's anybody else. I don't know if the refs are responding or not responding. Like, could you imagine Tavares doing that? Like, oh my god,
dude,
the world would be on fire if Tavares did that.
Yeah, dude, it takes so much to get that guy pissed, and with Malkin, man, he has that switch, and when that switch turns on, he is like he's already a fantastic player, but when he gets that angry switch turned on, watch out.
There's some players where yes, you need to get them angry for them to play well. And Malkin's already a generational talent, but he goes from generational to goddamn Gretzky when he's angry.
Super Saiyan.
Ironically enough, one more thing about Malkin is that the deadliest season he's ever had is a season without Crosby. He took that Pittsburgh team and
angry,
crushed it.
He's angry.
Yeah.
He said, "What do you mean I don't have Crosby? I'll just do it myself."
And he did. And I also remember the Conn Smythe run, 2008. If you guys remember that, he was on fire that year.
Yeah, no, he was possessed. He had something like 35 points or something in the playoffs. Like, it was nuts. So that's Evgeny Malkin for you. We then had a William Nylander goal after he had that He had that little partial breakaway where he came in onto Smith, gives him the dangle, and he couldn't put it away. He hits the far post, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, Willie, how didn't you put that in?" And he says, "You know what? Fine, I will put it in." And he scores. I believe that was on. Might have been on a power play after that, right?
Yeah,
And he
that
just
was.
he just lets it fly from the top of the corner there, like looking like Ovechkin. Yeah, that was a beautiful goal to see. And at that point, the Leafs let it slip away in the third period there. Sjogren gave up a softie against Brock McGinn. That was the one that he himself admitted he should have had. But once again, like we talked about, third string goalie. Honestly, I expect a soft goal every game. If you let up one soft goal and limit it at that, that's third string quality to me. It wasn't so long ago that we had Michael Hutchinson in net, and it felt like every goal was a soft goal. That's not my standard for a third stringer, but that's what you don't want to see. Anything more than that is great. So once again, kudos to Sjogren for that. At which point we can move to last night's game, where, as we mentioned, the Börje Salming stuff beforehand, the starting lineup where we had the six Swedes, and this has been driving me nuts, Dave. You probably don't have an answer for this. I've been looking for an answer before we came on for like an hour. There was a song that was playing between the Salming ceremony and the opening faceoff. It was just this hype EDM song, and I couldn't find it yet, man. You probably don't even know what I'm talking about, but I don't know why.
Honestly, wasn't paying attention.
I don't blame you, but like I heard just some hype EDM song. I'm like, what the hell is that? And I couldn't Shazam it in time. I should have just rewinded it, but I was like, no, I can't watch it. It's the Leafs. But yeah, we'll talk about the actual hockey. You want to go first, Dave? Here, anything from last night?
So again, I think they started off pretty poor. I think that there's
Yes.
So they went down early. They went down 2-0 pretty early. One thing that was noted was while starting all five of your starting like the five Swedes on the opening lineup was cool. Like was honestly sentimental, touching, but it also could have backfired. The Leafs are really really poor to open up games. Like first period, like these guys have given up already 6 goals in the first minute of the game, which is you got to fix that. Like that cannot keep.
That's a momentum killer in the playoffs, man. That's a playoff killer right there.
You're starting. You go into the game and you're starting down already. Like it's really really hard to come back from that every single game. So that needs to stop. Like tomorrow or whenever Tuesday. Like that. Stop that.
Yeah.
Because should have stopped yesterday, but it didn't.
Yeah.
So I guess we could kind of break down like the 2 goals if I remember them correctly. So Bo Horvat, listen, I have been tough on the Canucks, and I'm not going to change my stance on them. I still don't think that they're good enough. I don't even think they're good enough to really make the playoffs. Very very weak Pacific Division, so they actually genuinely might squeak in. But Bo Horvat, man, captain of the team. We called him out near the beginning of the season, and holy has he been on fire. I think that was his 12th goal of the season already. I believe he might be 13, either or. I think he's like second or third in league scoring right now. Good for him. Honestly, hats off to him. Going to deserve every single penny come this offseason. And then noted very not good defensively, but very, very good offensively. JT Miller scoring on the power play after Michael Bunting, like within, I think it was like 20 seconds of Michael Bunting taking, I believe it was an interference or a tripping call. Could have been both, I believe.
Interference. Yeah.
They called it interference, could have been tripping, could have been, I don't know, a multitude of different things. At the end of the day, bad penalty. And one thing I have to say, I love you, Michael Bunting, but please stop taking needless penalties. There is a time and a place for, to get a bit chippy and stuff. Open ice interference on JT Miller. I know you guys are down 1-0 and you got to get back into the game, but that's a real momentum killer, and it's not the first time this season, and probably won't be the last time. That's been one of Michael Bunting's biggest criticisms is his needless penalties sometimes. His he kind of just goes like eight
undisciplined,
shit. I guess
sometimes,
just
man.
so undisciplined. Yeah, listen, you got to fix that 100%. Like, there's no way around it. But I would say on the first goal, that Bo Horvat goal, like, holy smokes, what a tip from Bo Horvat. I know he was like kind of being draped by Justin Hall, who maybe could have had a bit better positioning, but like for Horvat to get his stick on that puck,
Yeah.
man, like that's a real like talent to have, and like got to give credit where credit's due sometimes. What about you, Christian? What have you been seeing?
Just to that point, like I had a hockey game this past week, and I just decided in my mind, I'm just like, I'm gonna try and tip a puck this game. I tried maybe 5 times. I didn't hit a single puck with my stick in midair. Like it's tough. It's tough. So yes, credit to Bo Horvat for what he did there. The JT Miller goal too. Nice seeing eye snipe. Like he put a little bit of credit towards Timothy over there, as I like to call him. I just JT. I call you Timothy or Timothy. We did not have our Timothy in this game as well. We should know. TJ Brody was healthy, not a healthy scratch, but he was scratched. I don't know if we necessarily found out why. Not off the top of my head.
Performance reasons or no?
I think maybe just like. I'll be honest with you. I think it's just
definitely
like
wasn't performance. 100%. No, it might have been rest. Maybe a little bit under the weather or something. 100% was not performance based, because this guy's been our best all around defenseman. Forget just this year, like since he's been in Toronto. He had a little bit of a rough start to his Leaf career. Like I remember seeing him on some replays of goals against for like the first month, and he'd be like staring at the sky. But man, he turned it around real quick, and he's never looked back. So no complaints about TJ Brody. And going back to the game, we had the JT Miller goal. We went down 2-0. But in the second period, we were a different team. We came out guns a-blazing. We had probably 2 or 3 instances where it felt like we had the Canucks hemmed in their zone for like 2 or 3 minutes. It was really good to see. And a lot of one of those times, I believe, was the fourth line. Might have been that makeshift third line too, which I still like. I'm not a fan of it. I know Engvall scored, but that's just such a weird combo of Bunting, Engvall, and Yarncrow. I feel like Yarncrow is getting a lot of slander lately. I've just been hearing in the media, and I mean he's here for 4 years, so we gotta get used to him. He has to acclimate. I'm not about to bury him in year 1 of a 4-year contract, and it's at a palatable number. When it comes to Calle Yarncrow, what do we know about this guy? We know this guy's got a pretty decent shot. That was made clear to us in his first preseason game where he scored 2 goals. So that we know he can be a finisher on a line. And I also know that I don't think Pierre Engvall and Michael Bunting are necessarily the playmakers that would get him a puck as a finisher. So there just hasn't been a good blend on that third line that's really the fourth line. I know Dave doesn't want to say that Bunting's a fourth liner. I don't either. It's more of a testament that we have a decent team. There's depth there, but it's still like what I've seen from that line. So like I mentioned, there was the Engvall goal, but before that was an Austin Matthews goal on the power play. Vintage Austin Matthews snipe, beautiful pass from Marner. Always good to see Austin score. And then we had the elite snipe from none other than Jordy Ben in his Leaf debut against his former team. Brian's laughing through his teeth. What do you got? You got a problem with elite sniper Jordy Ben, Brian? What do you got to say there, man?
There's something that kids every time like Jordy Ben comes up in my mind.
I know what you're gonna say.
We have a friend that is a big Jamie Benn fan. He's also a big Leafs fan.
Yeah.
I just find it so funny that he can legitimately get a Ben Leafs jersey now, even though it's not the Ben. I hope he does.
Whenever I see him, I gotta tell him that. But yeah, Jordy Ben goes roof daddy right in front of the net, and he loves it. Austin's like, woo, he's on one leg. He's like, let's go. Austin gets like so hyped for just like marginal players' goals. I love to see that. That's like me when I score now on Beer League. It's like the star player or my buddy gets happier than when he scores. Jordy Ben goal aside, I thought he played well. Like I liked what I saw. we'll give him points off for that penalty that he took in the third period, where it was just blatant interference in front of the net. Like, I don't know what he was doing. He was just going at someone. No need for that, Jordy. Stick to your game of sniping on dudes. But in all seriousness, if we get anything close to what Zach Bogosian gave us in the 2020 season from Ben as a number 7D, I will absolutely take it. He's kind of in that. Yeah, I wouldn't totally compare him to Lyubushkin. Lyubushkin's got a bit more of a size advantage, I think, but just physical presence, number 70 didn't hurt us. So I wouldn't mind seeing more of Ben in times where we need a 7th defenseman to step up. And that's basically what we had from the Pittsburgh game there. Once again, the Shalgren effort, pretty good. Not Pittsburgh game, the Vancouver game last night. Shalgren once again with a good effort. We should also note played back-to-back nights, right? Friday and Saturday. How often you say that about a third stringer, right? So that's the Leafs week in review. I guess at this point we can do just a slight forecast of what the Leafs are up against this week.
I have a few questions for you guys, actually.
Yeah, hit us, Brian. Hit us.
How's it been without Muzzin?
It's not. He's injured often, right? Like, this is not the first time. This is probably the third or fourth time that we've been without him for an extended amount of time. So we've kind of got accustomed to life without him, and yeah. Like, he's a unicorn. He's a unicorn. What he brought to the table was something that no other defenseman could bring to us. But last year, when he was healthy, it wasn't the same. The start of the season this year wasn't necessarily the same as that unicorn style that we had those first couple years. It's such a tough break, and we know that he's a huge presence in the locker room too. So you do miss him to that extent. But I think at this point, the Leafs have to look forward to a future without Jake Muzzin. I think that's just the responsible thing to do. Anything to add to that, Dave?
So if we can remember, so before Muzzin got injured in the Columbus series, he had the stinger neck injury, which was very scary to see. Him and Justin Hall were genuinely our best defensive options. Like, they were lights out.
You shut down here.
Now, whether or not you want to say, like, oh, you know, maybe it wasn't all Justin Hall. Like Justin Hall, like, was just like an effect of the greatness that Muzzin was bringing night in, night out. That's fine. But Justin Hall then was looking at a completely different person. I wish at some point we can maybe get back to those ways for Justin. You know, maybe it's a confidence issue. I don't think it's a real skill issue, because I think he definitely has some things there. But getting off that point, like, you know, he is a big loss. Like, he can't be understated. Like, that's a huge presence. But I feel the same way, Christian. I think that they've been acclimated to it already. I think they've kind of been preparing. You going into this season, you had to know that the injury-prone guys might be injury prone. So, you know, you have your two goalies, a bit injury prone, especially like Matt Murray. Samsonov, like, not as much, but 100% Matt Murray, you're going into the season, you're like, this guy needs to bounce back, injury history. And, you know, Jake Muzzin's your other question mark back there, right? So I think they've been preparing. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it's actually really good that Jake Muzzin's out. But you know what? It could be a little bit fortuitous. Now you have the chance for both Rasmus Sandin, Timothy Liljegren to come up and play. You know, there's not as much of a logjam back there. And also, going back to the Jamie Jordy Ben point, I'm not opposed to seeing Jordy Ben come in every so often to take out. Like, I think realistically, maybe Rasmus Sandin needs to sit a game, maybe two. Let Ben come in, you know, provide his abilities here. I'm all in favor for more of a load management. If you have the ability to bring in like to replace a guy if he's not performing as well and stuff like that, I'm not opposed to it. So maybe, I guess we'll just see. I think somebody like Sandin, it's debatable. Maybe Justin Hall as well could be sit for a game
Another
if
thing,
you want.
another thing I want to
Probably off
ask.
of a loss that we feel like the effort isn't good is where we might see that. Yeah, Brian, what's up?
Another thing I want to ask you guys is, where's Robertson?
Yeah, you know
Oh,
what? He's been a little sleepy. Yeah, like you know what? I noticed a couple, like just he had a couple lasers. I want to say it was in the Pittsburgh game. I don't know if it was last night where the guy is always looking to shoot, always looking to shoot. We'll be in the offensive zone. You'll have who's he been playing with most recently? Really, it's very similar, but you don't see him that much out there with him. It's kind of sometimes, once again, that just a mismatch line. Someone like Yarncrow, Malgin, Engvall, he finds himself there in weird spots because he doesn't get that much ice time. And my point is that we're in their zone. Puck will be in the corner. There'll be a puck battle, and you'll have Nick Robertson opposite side of the zone, above the dot, and he's got to stick up. He's like, okay, whenever you get it, I'm ready to 1T it. I'm ready. Just get it to me. And it's just, it feels a little forced. It does feel a little forced. I so desperately want to see the guy succeed, and we saw the flash of success in that first game. He's got to. Honestly, I would just love to see a Nick Robertson game where I say that guy looked great and he didn't score. That's what I want. Malgin has had those games. He's not lighting up the score sheet, Malgin, but you love the process. It's the process we want to see with Nicky Robbie.
Who's he playing with now?
Like I said, he's kind of all over the place. He's getting like 10 minutes of ice time. On the sheet, he's technically with Tavares and River. It doesn't last in game.
So can we play a quick game? Can we play guess how much ice time Nick Robertson got last night?
13 minutes. I don't know.
I'll say 8.5.
Christian, 8:49 last night.
Whoa.
Lowest on the team.
Yeah.
Listen,
Didn't know.
I don't know.
You guys
You're not putting him in a place to succeed like that either. It's the Shane Wright conversation, right? Like
the Veranda
Yeah,
conversation.
it's frustrating. It's
Yeah.
so many different
It
conversations
happens.
around the league. It happens to forward on every team, and I don't like Keith. He's not. I don't think Robertson is in Keith's doghouse per se, but like it's warranted. It is warranted, and that's what's frustrating, right? Like I said, I want to see him bring something outside of just the scoring touch. He's got to be able to win puck battles in deep, or he's got to find a bit of playmaking. Maybe he doesn't have to be the finisher. Try and be the setup man. He can't be one dimensional, right?
And
Yes,
something
I agree.
that's going. Speaking of Robertson, but something that goes under the radar a lot this season is actually Jason Robertson's production. I think he's like top
I don't
5
feel like it's
scoring.
underrated though. Like yeah, is
10
he
goal,
like
10th goal today.
Under the radar, I
Man.
mean, like he's popping off again. It's like,
again? But that's the point. This is now you're technically year 3. Like basically since the guy's come into the league, he's been lighting it up. In his rookie season, he was great too.
I don't think we hear
It
enough
should
about
not.
it.
You're right. We don't hear enough, but I'm not surprised at this point. I expect this, right? Like if I'm not in a fantasy pool for hockey this year, which is very surprising to me. I'm in a freaking basketball league. I'm not even in hockey. But if I was in hockey, that guy is 100% on my list of guys to look to draft because, yeah, like I've got it written in stone, honestly, that he's just going to be this good. He's nuts, man.
He's also one of those guys that like he's just not a star. He's like in the league. He's a star in the league if you watch the league, but like you know what I mean? If you walk through the mall.
Do you think it's because of where he plays?
Possible. Definitely actually. I mean I feel like when Sagan was in Boston, all the attention was on him. It was Dallas. I mean, how much really have you heard of Sagan, right? Except for the complaints of the
Every single time. Every single time he comes into town, we hear about Tyler Sagan. That guy is a bona fide Leaf killer. Him and Jamie Benn.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know that.
And Alexander Ovechkin. Oh, dude. If after I'll pull up a stat for next episode, but the stat for Tyler Sagan coming to play Toronto is ludicrous. It's like near a point a game, I believe. It could also be like just under like a goal a game as well. Like it's this guy comes to town and he's playing for some eyes, let me tell you. But no, I agree 100%. He is easily like I don't think there's many players in the league who like they just have sleepy 40-goal seasons. You know what I mean? Like every 40-goal scorer is always kind of like looked at, talked about. But Jason Robertson, 40 goals last year, and it was just kind of like, wow, he had 40 goals. Like, maybe it is the place he's playing, but I know Dallas is a pretty like they get high on their team, man. Like they've had a good team for a while, so I don't know. Maybe something's gonna maybe like after this year, like if he has another really really good campaign, there could be a few more eyes on Jason Robertson, and he's definitely somebody to like not take lightly, 100%.
At this point, I think he's a superstar in the league. Like genuinely, he's at that
Yeah.
caliber. Yeah.
I
And
could agree.
He's the best player on Dallas, and this is a well. You
Yeah.
know what? You can actually have a conversation, I'd say, between him and Jake
Andre.
Ottinger. Yeah, but like I'd honestly put both of them now past Miro Heiskanen, who is like what a top 15 defender in the league. I'd say, right? Like
You could
he's
go-
an absolute stallion, and he racks up the time on ice, right? And come playoff time, the guy turns it on, man, right? So
There's also one more thing.
Dallas,
Yeah.
man.
There's also one more thing I wanted to mention. It's actually a defenseman that plays in the West that has the same amount of points as Jason Robertson. He's on fire this season for the first time in what feels like forever. You guys know what I'm
Oh, is
thinking
it
of?
Eric Carlson?
Yep.
Yeah.
21
Ooh,
points,
So-
guys.
wow.
You're casting your
Wow.
Norris ballot today. Who's your Norris winner? It's him, right?
Eric Carlson.
Yeah, I think so.
Eric Carlson.
Right. We'll do another exercise.
Or actually,
you have to
sorry,
cast your
my
ballot
mistake.
today. Sorry. What do you got, Dave? I think you.
My mistake. My Norris vote, Rasmus Dahlin.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, he's number two. He's number two for me. So now I ask
100%.
this: if you have to cast your ballots, or you have to project your ballots come the end of the season, who do you think you'll be voting for? Who do you think is the Norris winner at the end of the season? Not necessarily today, but when it's all said and done, if you had to guess today, who do you think?
Adam Fox.
I would still. Who do you think?
Adam Fox.
Adam Fox. I mean, I'm not going to slander Adam Fox. The guy's pretty damn good. I bring this up because I think the question is Cale Makar, who's kind of been sleepy to start the year, who was 100% the de facto Norris pick. Do you take him in a sleepy start, or would you take Erik Karlsson or Rasmus Dahlin, Adam Fox? I still might take Makar because he's that good.
I'm pretty sure he's point per game right now, right? I actually have the
Just
number right here.
comparing him,
I honestly have
tell
no
me what he
idea.
is.
I have it.
No
What
idea.
is he?
16 points, 13 games.
Jesus,
Over
my
a point a
God!
game. Not
But
bad.
he's
Like we don't hear. Have we heard about him?
No,
all
you
year?
haven't. No.
Right? You know what? I'll bring
I
this up
feel
too.
he's
'cause I
got
just-
the.
Yeah.
Sorry, I feel like he's got the Connor McDavid effect, which is if he's not hitting ludicrous numbers, which we know that he could hit,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, oh yeah, he's having a good season. Like
Yeah, that's
over
pretty
a point a game, over a point a game pace, like for him. So this guy's like that's on pace for like 85, 86 points
Bro.
for a defenseman. Might I add? That's like, oh yeah. I mean, I guess. I don't know, like, because everybody's expecting him to put up, like, he could realistically hit, like, 100 points, like, 110 points. Like, who knows? The sky's the limit for that guy.
I also think that it's also going to be like all these new guys coming up, Fox, Makar, for example, even Carlson coming back into the Heat is one of the reasons why John Carlson will probably never win a Norris Trophy in his career. I mean,
Yeah.
he had that time when he was like arguably the best in the league. Obviously, got robbed a couple of years by Yossi. Not gonna get into that, but how can you compete with the defenseman who's legitimately 10 years younger and scoring 100 points per game, 100 points a season? Like, it's ridiculous.
Insane. One more thing on Makar. He needs 4 or 5 points in his next 9 games to become the first NHL defenseman in history to hit 200 points before his 200th game. Just think about that. Never
wild.
been
Really
done
insane.
before. Bobby Orr didn't do it. But so
Ray Bork.
we'll pay
Like, you
attention
go
to
down
that.
the
Ray
list.
Bork, Paul
And-
Coffey.
And
Like,
even though
just
his
off,
production is ridiculous, I don't even think that's his best asset. I genuinely believe his best asset is like he's the breakout
speed?
entry guy, right? So
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
in the forecheck, like the forecheck one, like the guy pressing, the first person to always like forecheck and press the puck on Makar never gets him.
Yeah.
Never. Like
No
it's
chance.
it's
No chance.
insane. He's guaranteed to get past one guy. So then you're almost guaranteed neutral zone entry. Then at that point,
By the time he picks up speed at that point, he's
he
gone.
yeah, like the second guy in the forecheck, like you won't catch him in the neutral zone either. Like it's done. Then he instantly gets an entry to your zone as a D man. If you think
Yeah.
about that, like it's ridiculous. That's like a forward's
And
job. But
what would we say that Makar's weakness is? His defense, his puck battles. Like the guy is still no slouch there
I
too.
don't
If
even.
that's his weakness,
I don't
dear
even think
God.
that's a weakness. He's like
Exactly.
above
It's
average.
relative.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nuts player on a nuts contract. Let's not
Yeah.
get so jealous about Colorado
but
here. Man.
going back to your who I think is gonna win the Norris, like if I had
Yeah.
to cast my prediction right now, yeah, I think I'm gonna take Fox. I think that Fox in New York will show that they're class amongst the league, and I think that Makar has to live up to unrealistic expectations once again, kind of like the McDavid thing, like David said. So that's why I'm gonna go with Fox.
I'll say if Erik Karlsson keeps even remotely up to this pace, like what we say, if Erik Karlsson is point per game, which is a very lofty goal, and he has in the 20 to 25 goal range. What's he at right now? 12. So he's even slowing down. Honestly, I'm talking myself out of it. What would it take for Erik Karlsson to win the Norris? Do we give him a cushion because of his age? Like if Makar had like 95 points and Erik Karlsson had 82, do we give it? Like what would you do in that scenario?
If he's able to take San Jose from 32 to 31.
Okay.
Give him the North. That is how brutal. Like, look at how brutal the rest of the team is, where he's putting up like Ottawa, even better than Ottawa Senators Erik Karlsson numbers.
Yeah.
And his team's in 32nd. Like,
that
I think for that reason alone, booty cheeks. I think for that reason alone, I wouldn't cast my vote for Erik Karlsson because I think you are a product like of yourself, but also as the team, like as a team and like as the team in a whole. I don't know why I struggled so hard to say that. Listen, that's an unsustainable pace for most people. Erik Karlsson can definitely do it. Would I put my money on it? I probably wouldn't. There's a reason why the Norris Trophy or the best in the category, like wherever you want to go, normally goes to a player on a team that's good, right? Like you in hockey, especially, you're a product of your team, of your surroundings, right? I think he's going to eventually probably slow down a little bit, which is, even to the pace that he might eventually slow down to is still going to be a fantastic season by any regards. But I think for that reason alone, I think I'm out on him. And of course, my pick's going to be Rasmus Dahlin, who honestly is on pretty equal pace already too. So like he might legitimately another couple just outstanding months from him, and he might actually run away with this season's Norris voting, in my opinion.
Buffalo's up to an insane start. Like, fair play to them.
Well, though, Brian, if you take a look recently, I think they're on a 5-game losing streak, man. Actually, very quietly. Very quietly. I will confirm for you.
I actually didn't know that. I thought they were doing really, really well, given their points in the standings. But
their standings right now, they're third last in the Eastern Conference all of a sudden, bro.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, but you see how
it's too early.
It just goes to show it's such a tight, just a tight race right now all across the league. They have lost to Boston 3-1. The game before that, they lost to Vegas 7-4.
That was
a
good game.
A stinker to Arizona 4-1. Lost to Tampa 5-3. Carolina 5-3. Their last win was against Pittsburgh in the midst of their losing streak 6-3 on November 2nd.
I just keep on seeing Tage Thompson score. So I'm just thinking, oh, these guys must be doing pretty well. And then I saw them early in the season; they were actually killing it. But I don't know.
They were, yeah. The Tage Thompson over there, that guy, he might be on pace for a
70
certain
goals?
amount of goals. No, yeah, 70 Gs, man.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's at 10 goals right now. Genuinely.
I think he's got 11.
I think he's at 11. Yeah.
Okay, so he's on pace for 70, but realistically, he'll probably hit the 40 that at this pace at least that we predicted at the beginning of the year. I think I might be the farthest off all my predictions. I'm not gonna lie.
So do we want to know? You know what? Let's actually save that because we
Yeah.
can take up a lot of time revisiting those predictions. That'll be a theme
I
throughout our
do want to
season.
say. I do want to
Okay,
say one
okay.
thing. I don't
Yeah.
know if anybody noticed, but the Arizona Coyotes were at one point, or at least for a little bit, in a playoff spot. So
That
I was
itself is a win, man. The fact that you should have made that your prediction, and we wouldn't have batted an eye. You should have just said at some point in the season they will occupy a spot, and we would have said, "Dave, you're
that could have
stupid."
been game one. That could have been game one. It's honestly like such a surprise. And another thing to note, the Vej goalie. I don't have the stat in front of me, but I did see a tweet going around. He's let in one goal, like max one goal in like 8 of his last starts or something like that. It's a stupid, ridiculous number. He's on fire.
Who?
Veggie Milk,
Light
man.
him up for the Vesna.
Karel Vejmelka.
Oh
Vejmelka,
yeah.
Vejmelka.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think he beat
Wow.
us,
Ludicrous.
unfortunately, but it's okay.
Yeah, you know,
He's a good goalie,
he
man.
finds a way. Yeah, you know what? Last year, like honestly, like when the Leafs played him, that's why we know this guy so well already because he stonewalled us. But like I was like, yeah, that guy looks promising. And then I looked at his stats for last season. Like he was not a 900 save percentage. But this year he's showing us that he can consistently be the guy that plays stonewall against the Leafs. He's just imagining every team right now is the Leafs. That's what's happening. So
could you guys
Good on
imagine?
It's always about the Leafs.
Could you guys
it's
imagine?
always about the Leafs.
Could you guys imagine if Arizona somehow finds a way into the playoffs? Just somehow, just by some
Dave
miracle.
could imagine. Yeah.
I could like listen. At the end of the day, that pick was a 10% pick for a reason. I honestly, when I was going into that, I was like, okay, what's the most ludicrous? But you know, I could back it up with some justifiable points, which definitely were flawed 100%. So I was like, you know, they're projected to be like the worst team in the league, and by all accounts, they should legitimately be the worst team in the league. But you know what? They're really punching above their weight class. Now, are they gonna end up in a playoff spot? Probably not. That also just goes to show you how brutal that in like we've said it before. I know they're in the Central, and I was talking specifically about the Pacific before, but that whole Western Conference, we brought it up I think last week. St. Louis,
Yeah.
have they broken their streak? Was it at?
Oh,
Or what
I
was
think
it?
they
at?
got. I think they got a win. It was at least at 7. I think they did end up getting a 1, but
7 or
still, like-
7 games.
Of course, they get hot when we go
Yeah.
west, because we actually faced them later in the
Yeah.
week, and oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But
Vancouver started off winless in 7 games. Like, woohoo.
That feels like
Tough
forever
conference.
ago now, man.
I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
looking at the West. Like, there's only like 3 teams that actually like kind of scare me. Actually, 4, because I'm kind of scared of McDavid and Draisaitl. But it's Vegas, Dallas, and Colorado. Everybody else, I'm not too worried about, to be honest.
This is actually a good segue into something I wanted to bring up. Dave, you got something to add before I introduce it?
Yeah, no, sorry. Listen, I'm not going to disrespect McDavid and Draisaitl here, but I will disrespect the Edmonton Oilers.
Fair.
If you are able to shut down or minimize McDavid and Draisaitl to like even 2 goals, maybe even 3 goals, you can easily score 7 on them. So listen, I love watching those guys play. High entertainment hockey, not a great team. And they went a lot farther than the Leafs last year. It's just so unsustainable to play like that, man. Like, oh my God.
Doesn't it remind you of kind of like Randy Carlyle hockey, bro? Like, remember when just the unsustainable Leafs would just kind of have that? They would just kind of be like, okay, defense is optional. Let's just see if we can score a bunch of goals and see what happens.
We saw what happened with that. We took a nice lead going into the 3rd period against Boston, and you know when defense is optional on your team, man, it's really easy to get beat by a real well structured team. So I don't know. I think at some point something's going to have to change there because you can't keep trotting those 2 guys out in front of a borderline AHL team. And I'm going to say that knowing that there's some Leaf fan favorites on that team, Jack Campbell, Zach Hyman in particular. Not a big fan of Tyson Berry or Cody Ceci.
I was going to say, don't forget those fan favorites, man.
Yeah. Listen, they didn't put up as much of an impact as you maybe wanted, but for the first two in particular, like I would like to see them do well. I want to see Connor
Yeah.
McDavid do well. I think we
Yep.
had this conversation already, and
Yep.
I'm gonna keep going on about it until they, realistically, you put those two players on any other team in the league, and you win a Stanley Cup. Like that's how genuinely, generationally talented those two guys are. But they're playing in front of AHLers right now, so
This would be a fun
I don't know.
exercise next episode. We should literally go through every single team and just add Connor McDavid and Draisaitl to them and ask ourselves, would they win a cup? Because, I don't know if Arizona's winning the cup, but, honestly, it's probably, 28 out
that
of
moves
32
Travis.
teams.
That moves Travis Boyd down from 1C to 3C.
Oh.
So
That's true, man. That
Can
is
you imagine,
generational talent right there.
can you imagine a Connor McDavid, Nick Ritchie, and
Clayton
I
Keller?
guess maybe I don't know Christian? Oh yeah, Clayton Keller. I don't know why I
Yeah.
didn't think of him first. I was gonna say Christian Fisher for some reason.
Dude, Keller's
But
gets
can you
110
imagine that
points.
line?
He gets 110 points with McDavid. I guarantee it.
Okay. I thought you were gonna say this season. I was about to just run away.
Yeah, 100%.
No, he gets
Dude,
110 points with
100%.
McDavid. I guarantee
Yeah.
it. I
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
On the topic of Edmonton here, the Athletic just had a decent article come out where they revisited some of their predictions from the preseason. So in the preseason, the Raiders were asked who will win the Stanley Cup, and I'm going to give you the teams that received a vote on who would win the Stanley Cup in the preseason. You had Carolina, Colorado, the Rangers, the Oilers, the Flames, Panthers, Leafs, Penguins, Blues. Now they just did a revote. They revisited this poll and they were asked the same question: who will win the Stanley Cup? Only 6 teams received a vote this time around. Can you guys try to name me the 6 teams who received a vote?
Vegas, Boston, Toronto, Colorado.
No. Yeah.
And
Okay. That's me.
Dallas?
Did we say Boston?
Right now, you got Vegas, Boston, Colorado.
Okay, so that's 3.
Interesting.
They've got to be some Eastern teams because I honestly don't see.
Don't say New Jersey.
Ooh.
Is it New Jersey?
Rangers?
Okay, good. Okay.
No, Rangers, yes. Yep. So Vegas, Boston, Colorado, Rangers. 2 more teams.
Carolina?
Carolina is number 5. You have 1 more team left.
I have no idea who else would be in contention.
I'll give you the rest of the list, and you can tell me which of these teams you think received a vote. So the other ones who either received a vote the first time or received it this time, there is St. Louis, Pittsburgh, Toronto, Florida, Calgary, Edmonton, and Dallas. It is one of those teams. Would you like me to go over them again?
Well, I think that it would be. Well, on paper you would assume
Not St.
Toronto.
Louis.
On paper you would think Toronto, but the thing is McDavid. So I'm gonna go with Edmonton. Is it Edmonton?
Dave, what do you got?
I don't think it's Edmonton. Name me. So it's not St. Louis. It's not Edmonton. Like for me, it's not St. Louis. It's not Edmonton. Can you just name me the other teams again?
St. Louis,
Pittsburgh.
Edmonton,
Oh no, they've had a bad losing streak as well.
Pittsburgh, Toronto, Dallas, Calgary, Florida.
Oh, Dallas.
They've got it.
Dallas is my
They've got
final
it.
pick.
Calgary. Yeah. So Dallas got the final pick. So that's interesting to me that people feel more confident in Dallas than Calgary, Florida, and Toronto.
That's
interesting. So I think once again, the main theme with these picks here: Carolina, Colorado, New York, Boston, Vegas, Dallas. That's goaltending. I think goaltending was obviously the deciding factor for Edmonton, probably for Toronto. I think the only team that wasn't mentioned there that you can say has solid goaltending is Calgary with Markstrom. That's the only other team there. Yeah, so I thought that was interesting, specifically Dallas being mentioned as a team that someone would vote for to win the Stanley Cup at this point in the season. Surprising.
Yeah. 100%. I think that is interesting. I'm surprised the list got shorter. after
Like
after this time.
the short that quick.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's only like legitimately 16 games at most into the season, right? I'm pretty sure we're not even a
Yeah.
quarter.
No, I think you're right.
Like I think that like it's still way too early. I mean, let's be honest. Any team can go on a 10 game like run, a 10 game win streak, or a 10 game loss streak like that. I mean, um, but it's definitely interesting how they're already like changing their picks and stuff already. But obviously,
To
after
put it in
watching games
perspective, I
played,
think we're only 1 month in of the NHL season. Like when did the season start? Like October 12th or something, right? Today's November 13th. We are only
Yep.
4 weeks into the season. When
we
you
are
put it
also
like that,
we're also
right?
only 7 episodes into this pod. To put it into perspective as well.
So you see, so we are longer than the NHL season. Let's go.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy how time flies though. I mean, 7 episodes already, eh?
Yeah,
Legitimately,
man.
like
Wow.
yeah, and yeah. Christian,
Wow.
was that what you wanted to get into? Because
Yeah,
is there
yeah.
anything else
That
that you
was my
wanted to
little
say
point
regarding
there.
hockey? Regarding hockey, at least.
I think we covered it pretty well so
Oh, and
far.
then you
If
want
you
to talk
guys
about the
got any,
trade, the mock-up trade.
I'll save the mock-up trade. I'll save the mock-up trade a little later in the year. We'll see when I can bring it up.
Okay, okay.
Maybe when like the deadline stuff, like when that stuff starts to heat up, like the trade stuff, we'll definitely like revisit that topic 100%.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll all have our own ideas and whatever. I'll probably maybe just name it one of these episodes coming up, and then we'll get into it in the New Year's when the rumor mill
Con-
starts firing
Connor
up.
Mc, Connor McDavid for Justin Hall, who says no.
Damn it, Dave! Why'd you have to ruin
Toronto.
it, man? Why'd you spoil it,
Toronto says
bro?
no. Hall, best defenseman.
So
Norris, give it to Norris right now. He won it.
okay,
I
so
was gonna give it to him, but then Jordy Ben came around. Okay, Brian, do your serious stuff
oh,
now.
I'm actually like not done yet. Actually, oddly enough,
Oh.
there's one more thing I wanted to go
Okay.
over. It's
Yeah.
not hockey related, but it is BD sports related. So World Cup is starting up soon. If you guys didn't know, we will be covering that with our articles and stuff like that. You guys excited or what? For the
I am
World Cup.
excited.
Extremely.
It's legitimately a week away, guys. Like it doesn't feel like World
Yeah,
Cup
next
season at
Sunday.
all. Yeah.
So I'll tell you, my one complaint is I was looking at the times for specifically the Canada games, and I don't know if I'm gonna get to watch any of these games, man.
Midnight?
I don't know what I'm gonna do. No, not at midnight. They're like 11 a.m. and 2 p.m.
Yeah.
But like I got
Oh.
class at that time. I'm gonna be
Don't we
swimming in a
have a
dang
5
pool.
Do we have a 5 o'clock game?
I'll
5
text you
a.m.?
guys if you wanna talk, and
Because
I'll.
there will be 5 a.m. Eastern time, like Eastern Standard Time games. I know Argentina, I believe, plays one of those. Like that's my pick heading into this tournament to win. I'm hands on Team Argentina. Shout out Leo Messi.
Their team is
I
so
give.
good this time going into it.
I'll tell you what the best
Dude,
part about
I'm
Argentina
telling
is,
you.
their kits. Their kits are like obscenely beautiful. I see them at my work. We've got a bunch of jerseys. We have tracksuits of them. Those things are fire, bro. Those things are specifically the purple and blue kits.
Those are
Real
nice.
nice. Really nice.
Germany actually has the same like design, but in German colors for their aways. And
Okay.
Well, they're all made by Adidas, right?
the one
Yeah, can
thing,
I just say, like the Nike jerseys suck, guys. I
agree.
Awful.
I
Absolutely
am not a
awful.
fan.
This
As a
Just
non-soccer
get
fan.
Adidas to do them all.
I do have one gripe about the Adidas jerseys, and it's such a first world problem. It's such a small thing that you guys are probably gonna rip on me for. The reverse wrestlers actually have the same issue. I don't
Hit me.
like how they took a like on the Adidas logo. They took out Adidas. Like it's just the three like stripes now. If that makes sense.
Listen, I'm a big jersey nerd too, but for some reason that doesn't bother me. Maybe it's because I prefer this actually, but it doesn't really.
On the
I'm
reverse
okay with
retros,
that.
it pisses me off. I don't know what it is. It
Interesting.
it's just so odd. Like I know they're trying to
I
go
haven't
minimal or
noticed.
whatever. You haven't noticed? Okay, maybe I'm just crazy.
Okay, so I have confirmed that I am. No, actually, I don't know. Maybe I'm not stupid here. Yeah, no. So Belgium versus Canada, Wednesday, November 23rd, 2 p.m. Eastern time. We then have Croatia versus Canada, Sunday, November 27th. So I'll definitely get to watch that game. 11 a.m. Cool. And we then get Thursday, December 1st, Canada versus Morocco. Jesus, Morocco, 10 a.m. Eastern.
Quickly read out the USA
Okay.
games because you can actually watch the USA games on Fubo TV. You can actually watch all the World Cup games on Fubo TV if you're American and subscribe to Fubo. Obviously, shout out to Fubo.
I'll find you those US times.
Shout
Just
out.
give me a second here.
But yeah, no, it's gonna be pretty awesome. I mean, guys, could you imagine if we could watch like World Cup games on Fubo? Like, think about how
Oh
amazing that would be. That'd
my
be
God,
so.
beautiful.
That'd be making it so much easier. I mean,
Well,
obviously, it's gonna be on TV regardless,
Brian,
but
I have a question.
yeah.
Would we get CBC? Like, does CBC have thing, or is it only TSN for us?
CBC had World Cup in 2014, but they did not in 2018 because it went to TSN and CTV. We
Yeah.
I don't think
Okay.
that CBC has it again this year, unfortunately. But
Damn.
The
I know.
US
I know you
plays
can.
Monday, Friday. Sorry. Go ahead.
I know you can watch Hockey Night in Canada games on
Yeah.
Fubo in Canada.
Yep.
But that's like 2 games a week, basically. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Just something that I thought to mention.
all right, Christian, hit them with the times.
Monday, Friday, Sunday. So that's the 21st, the 25th, and the 29th. 2 p.m. starts. So I don't know. Maybe I'm going to be watching more US games than Canada games, guys. I don't know. Specifically, that Friday game, November 25th, US and England.
Oh
That'll
my
be fun.
goodness, that would be
There's
good.
some good matchups there.
Yeah.
One to watch. I won't lie to you. England Wales. I know like
Oh,
every
yeah.
time those two teams play, it's not as heated as England Scotland. If you watch an England Scotland game, I know that it was hyped up in the Euros, and I made a point to watch that game. Absolutely terrible. Like that was legitimately one of the worst 90 minutes of soccer I've ever watched. I thought it was going to be a lot more heated than it actually was. But England Wales also have
No,
a
they go to
nice
war.
little rivalry going on there. Yeah, so maybe we actually get to see thing. I'm excited to watch the tournament, but yeah, no, 100%. England US definitely one to mark on your calendar for sure.
There's one more thing. Like I know Christian's not a soccer guy, but Wales actually have like he used to be like a top 5 player in the world in the like at one point. His name is
Gareth Bale,
yeah,
right?
Gareth Bale,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
pops off for Wales. Like when he puts on the
I
Wales shirt,
remember.
he goes crazy,
Oh
and
my God.
that's gonna be
What
interesting
was
to
the
see.
tournament when we were in high school, guys? What was it? Was that
Euro 2016.
Euro
Euro 2016?
2016.
Wasn't there England versus Wales in that tournament? Like,
Yep.
I feel like I might have.
Yep, in
Yeah.
the group stage.
Okay.
Yep.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And me, Mr. Casual Soccer fan here, even I remember that. So trust me, I love international soccer. I'm going to be watching these games one way or another. Do I got time here, Brian, to bring something soccer related up? I just came across right now.
Yeah, take all the time you want. We like doesn't matter.
I know. I think it's in my yeah. I know, right? I just came across an article rating the away kits in the World Cup. The first kit that comes up is Argentina's, where it's like all purple, and they rated it a 4 out of 10. Damn it, man! What- I guess I need to like. I guess the soccer brain is different from the hockey brain. You know what I
So-
mean? Like, I wonder what I gotta ask soccer people what they think about hockey jerseys.
So the Argentina, like the classic like blue and white, that's like the one that everybody loves and that's like, iconic, right?
This is true.
They-
This is true.
And the deep blue is nice too, but like every Argentina fan, like they're in love with the blue and white. Kind of like how Italy, everybody loves the blue, right? Kind of like that.
Yeah.
But
I can respect that.
but
Hey,
there's-
but I was really enjoying their green kits. You know, if you come at me like, okay, listen, for Italy, for example, like you have your classic kit. Brazil, yellow and blue. Argentina, blue and white stripes. You have your classic kit, 100%. But if you bring your away kit or your third kit and show a little bit of personality, so in Italy's case, they brought these. I believe they were like Renaissance green. So like, and it was just like so fitting because it was like, you know, a Renaissance new generation that's coming up now. It's a new team. Although they didn't qualify for this World Cup, we could have seen those kits again. But those green kits were stunning, like so beautiful, and I just love to see that. There's a lot of creativity in like soccer kits and stuff, and I'm real happy to see like that going forward as well.
And if you think that there are teams that blundered, you can check out my article on bdsports.ca, where I talked about the three biggest blunders that you will see at this World Cup. Trust me, there's a lot. But anyway, another game that I think that like is going under the radar, that two major countries that are in the same group is Germany and Spain. That's gonna be a must-watch game.
Yo, that's a throwback game right there. That just takes me back to like 2010, 2012. Spain winning the World Cup,
Yeah.
Germany winning the Euro. Yeah.
Other way around.
What did I say?
But it's
Spain had
I know, I said-
the noted distinction of winning a Euro World Cup and then
and
a
Euro again
Like,
right after.
Yeah.
Oh
No,
my God!
I said Spain won the
Those-
World Cup because you know what? My team in the 2010 World Cup, I know I said I like Belgium and Fellaini, but
Spain.
my team in that World Cup was Netherlands. I love
yeah.
the bright orange
Mm.
jerseys. You got Robin van Persie,
That's
Arjen
my,
Robben,
like all
Schneider.
time, one of my favorite
Yeah.
players,
right.
Robin van Persie. Man, oh,
I
love
I
him.
remember
Man
the
United
goalie's
legend.
name, bro. Stecklenburg. Okay, like
He's still
I'm a-
around.
is he really? Wow,
Yeah, I
man.
don't think he's on the team this year, but I know he's still playing. Yeah,
Okay,
I believe he's in the
That's
Prem,
cool.
but I could be wrong.
Another
good for
thing.
Stecklenburg.
Or in the championship.
Another thing that goes under the radar too is that Netherlands side didn't win a trophy.
Yeah.
Such a
Generational
shame.
Dude, the
players.
flying headbutt, like that's probably my favorite soccer goal, man.
And
That
then
was
and
incredible.
then he the way he celebrated too was he ran up to his the manager Louis van Gaal, because Louis van Gaal was actually taking over Manchester United where Robin van Persie played at the time. So it was kind of like
Man.
what we thought was gonna happen, what everybody thought was gonna happen over at United, but obviously that didn't work out.
It started out like that, actually. It really did, and then injuries
came off.
kind of took their toll on Robin, and it was so sad to see his downfall because every time that guy played, he was only at United for a few years. I would say, like he spent the majority of his career at Arsenal, and oh my God, every single time that guy was on the field, it was like just watching magic happen. Basically, that guy's like pure technical ability inside the box is second to none. Like he was fantastic to watch.
And
It's
one,
gonna
go you can go.
it's gonna bother me now. What was Schneider's first name? Was it Wesley?
Wesley.
Was it Wesley Schneider? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I just needed to confirm that for
Oh,
my
okay.
2010 brain.
Also, there's the last group H is actually pretty tough. It's they're all like strong sides in their own way, because it's Ghana, who obviously they show passion. African teams have been on their rise recently, and they've definitely showed heart in the tournaments. You have South Korea, who arguably have a top 5 player in the world on their team right now, and he pops us for his nation too in Heung-min Son. You have Portugal, arguably one of the best teams in the world, and you have Uruguay, who always show up at international competition and actually knocked out Portugal in 2018.
That's a crazy group.
It's definitely going to be tough.
Well, another thing to note, that will be the first time that Ghana and Uruguay have played in European, like a tournament, like the World Cup, basically, because that's the only time that they're going to play in a situation like that since Luis Suarez. They played in the quarterfinals.
That happened.
Yeah, they played in
the
the
handball.
quarterfinals. The handball, dude. Luis
Which tournament was
Suarez.
that?
2010.
2010?
So this would have been World Cup
Yeah.
2010. So Luis Suarez
Yeah.
is on the goal line and rescues like the Uruguayan national like team by just absolutely just fist pumping the ball from going over the line. So he's sent off, and it's a penalty is awarded to Ghana, and then Asamoah Gyan, who was Ghana's player of the tournament, like going into like think here, that guy Asamoah Gyan was like he was gonna eventually become like he was predicted to become one of like the best players in the world. Like he had all the abilities in the world. He steps up and he skies that penalty, and I'm sorry to say, but like his fortune started to take a downhill turn after that tournament. I'm not gonna lay that single penalty alone at his feet as being like the cause of his downfall, but ooh, man, if you could turn back time and he scores that goal, who knows where African teams all right, or at least like the Ghanaian team where they would have went. They were on a mission that tournament, man.
There's
Michael
I
Essien on
enjoyed
that
watching
team,
those guys. Yeah, I remember
man,
watching
they were
like
fun.
there's one more
was there a guy on that team named Prince or something like that? I have this
Kevin Prince
memory of
Kevin
like,
Boateng.
Prince Boateng, yeah,
guys, how do I
that guy.
remember this
Oh,
stuff?
that guy was world class for a
Okay.
time there. He used to play for AC Milan. Who that guy was second, like oh beautiful. Like he was a real good player to watch.
There's also one more thing I will say about that penalty, David. The guy, I don't remember his name, but he skied it, right? And then they went into
Yeah,
penalties. He was actually the first to line up to take the first penalty for his national side after missing that one, and he scored it. So
Okay,
yeah,
thank
like,
God.
okay.
think about like the mental there for a second.
It's just like weight of the world. Like that's your. I believe that they were that happened in extra time as well.
Yep,
So if
they
he
would
had
have gone
scored
through.
that pen, they would have went through like regardless, and he wouldn't have had to like fair enough. Hats off to him. He had the like the gall to miss that and then go up again, and he put it away. Like most people crack under that sort of pressure. I could like literally only imagine. We saw at the last tournament with England, like they had three
Three.
teenage relatively young players step up in a row and miss, and like that could realistically ruin somebody's life. And I'm
Saka's been
glad to
flying
see. I would
since.
say Saka's been playing very well. I love Marcus Rashford. Sometimes he's a bit hit or miss. He's definitely not at the standards that I used to put at him. I thought legitimately like he had the talents to become one of the best footballers in the world. It just he hasn't really lived up to those expectations, but I still love him regardless. And and the other penalty taker there was Jadon Sancho, and he kind of hasn't been living up to his expectations. But he's also 21 years old, and I guess we could or 22 years old. I guess we could see, he's still young. So there's still time, especially for all three of them. There's still a lot of time. But in any other circumstances, that's like weight of the world, weight of your nation on your shoulders. Like most people crack under that sort of pressure. And like you just can't take away from people. Like I know people say like, oh, it's just like a spot, like you drop the ball, it's you and the goalie, you're like 10 feet out. Dude,
Penalties
it's
are hard, man.
so much more than that. It's so tough.
Yeah.
Like the mentality you have to take into a penalty, just taking a penalty in general, second to none. Like
Two follow-up questions about England for you guys. If you guys don't know, well, you definitely know one, but are all three of those guys returning to the England squad or no?
Yeah, I believe so.
Rashford is. Sancho wasn't called up.
What?
Well,
Really?
dude, he hasn't played for he barely plays for United right now.
Southgate
Which
dropped
is
Sancho? Really? Wow.
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Well,
I didn't look at the
listen,
English side yet, but
we're gonna go into like something here. Like I just said that about Jadon Sancho, knowing full well that Harry Maguire, who
got
was
in.
called up for this tournament, got in, and I think he played the first two games for United. They got like absolutely embarrassed both of those games. They had to switch him out. They play another two center backs, Lissandro Martinez and Rafael Varane, who were miles better than what Harry Maguire was putting out on the field. And Harry Maguire still got called up over current Serie A
Tomori.
Italian League champion Fikayo Tomori, who, if for anybody watching, could have actually aligned. Like I think he was
Canada.
born
He's
here.
Calgary.
He could have joined the Canadian national team, but chose to side with the English national team because he thought there was a road to him getting there, and by all means, he should be there. And man, that might legitimately like blow up in Gareth Southgate's face this tournament. I don't know how it's going to turn out. It's definitely going to be something to watch, though. That English defense
I think they'll be fine.
might not
I think they'll
be.
be fine. I'll be honest
They'll
with
be
you.
okay.
I mean,
Yeah, no, 100%.
You got to give Southgate credit. Like he knows his guys. He knows what he wants. He picks the guys that he knows will listen to him. He picks the guys that he has. Like he has a favorite list, and obviously it shows, right? And it's worked
Yeah.
out. He went to
Go
the Euro final. What other England
and
managers
the
will do
tournament
that?
before, dude, the tournament before he went to the
Semis.
semifinals
Yeah.
where they held the lead to Croatia, and even in that tournament, it was like one costly mistake from Raheem Sterling and Harry Kane. Sorry, it was technically Harry Kane's like fault. He should have squared the ball across. Like he literally had an open man, but he tried to take on the shot and he missed. Like if he scores that, like England are on to a World Cup final. Like that would have been the first time that they had done that since 1966 when they won the whole tournament, right?
Wait, so
He definitely has his system and he has his favorites and he knows how to get there. Whether or not like you fully agree with all his tactics, and sometimes they're a bit like uh they kind of take like steps back, but they still end up coming through. They're definitely a team to watch. They legitimately might like crash out in the group stages, or they might even go on to the finals, maybe win the tournament. Like who realistically
the
knows?
only
Like
guy
it's
that
crazy with them.
I saw dropped, that I know for a fact was dropped, that should have made the team, in my opinion, was Tammy Abraham. That's
See
he's a
the
key
thing with
replacement.
Tammy Abraham is no. See the thing with Tammy Abraham is I know a lot of people were upset about that decision. Like they brought Marcus Rashford. Callum Wilson is on the list. Tammy Abraham hasn't been playing that well for Roma. He
But
actually
it's a
even
pure
like
nine
last
though.
year.
It's a pure nine. Like that's the thing, right?
No, I understand, but I think on current goal scoring form, like Callum Wilson has like 10 goals already in the Prem for Newcastle. Rashford's had made much improvements this year. He's not going to be your striker. He
Oh, he's a
prefers
with
to
left
play
wing.
off on the left wing. Yeah, so but he can do the job there.
But there's
Like
like,
you could throw him
but
as your striker.
Tammy Abraham is legitimately a pure
Yes.
nine.
No,
Like
I understand. I understand completely. But see, that's the thing. Like, that's the argument against that decision is
he's not
like,
hot. Yeah, that's fair.
there he's not in form, right? I don't know. So we'll see. Like, it's just there's so much like hockey. Soccer like hockey is just so layered. Like, you could go so in depth with
I want to
soccer,
start
and
using soccer
especially
terms in hockey now. I want to start being like, yeah, Matthews hasn't been informed lately.
That should be a
yes.
thing
Oh, dude,
across all
that's tired.
sports. Because that should be a thing across all sports, genuinely.
It's
Because
just funny
informed,
to see the
uninformed.
language change,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Just from hearing
Yeah.
you guys talk. I find that really interesting.
I'm a big,
It,
I'm really bad at like saying, like in soccer it's called goalkeeper, right? I'm bad at like I usually say keeper in hockey too. I don't know if you guys notice and keep up on that, but
I do that too.
yeah, I get that's one of my
I know
sins, I guess.
in hockey they go tendy, tender, like you know what I
Yeah,
mean. But in
goaltender.
soccer,
Yeah,
it's
Yeah,
keeper, keeps. You know, yeah.
but
You also hear it from Brian too. Instead of saying zero,
no,
or like I'll say it too, like we'll go like nil, like 1-0,
yeah.
something like that. It's just like force of habit. But it's like let's converge all sports together, man. I say
one
we start
language.
like yeah, just
Right.
say it
How can
all
we
in
get
one
F1
language.
talk into hockey? Okay, like you gotta go with the box. Okay, like how can we do this? Huh?
Penalty box, fox. The ref says still player.
Yeah, yeah. Could you man?
And another more personal
Oh
thing
man,
I want to ask you guys. I'll start with Dave. Christian, I'm gonna ask you the same question. Do you guys feel it's
sounds
World
good.
Cup season?
No. So I know everybody. I have the exact same feelings as most people. This World Cup should not take place in the middle of a soccer season, and you will notice it. These players are gonna
Get hurt?
they're gonna get hurt. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot more injuries this time around. There already have been like before the tournament even started, so we might actually get robbed of some like proper talent. I know the big thing in around here was one of the last matches for Bayern Munich before this tournament started. Alphonso Davies went off with an apparent hamstring issue, and stuff like that could take like about a month. And at that point, it was like 2 weeks away from the start of the tournament. So losing Alphonso Davies, arguably the greatest Canadian soccer player, in in history, right before their first World Cup appearance in like 36 years. Man, that would not have been a good look. And it's the same thing all across the board. This should be like, there's a reason why these tournaments are played in the summer. They give the players time to relax, have a break, have this month-long tournament, give them a little bit more time to relax. At that point, the transfers, like people will make the jumps to different teams, and then you start getting back into the groove again when the season starts up again. Like there's a reason for that, and it just like, I guess we'll see like what type of product basically like comes out of it this year. If it does well, maybe in the future we'll see something along those lines again. But if it doesn't, and I know you like FIFA's been critical about it recently. Former president Sepp Blatter, who notably is not the greatest person in the world, very very money hungry, but like who isn't? Yeah, a bit corrupt. He came out and said like, yeah, we definitely shouldn't have given Qatar the tournament. It's like, okay, well, you're saying this with like 3 weeks left. You couldn't have said this, 12 years ago when you guys awarded it to this country.
Yeah.
Listen.
I find that hilarious because I had to write a homework assignment on that recently. Like I chose that article because I saw that article, and in that article he basically says, yeah, we shouldn't have done that. And it was a vote, and he basically doesn't even take any blame. He just says like, yeah, it was that the other guy, Platini, I think, or something like that. He's like, yeah, it was that guy's fault, Mr. UEFA over there. That bozo is the reason that this happened. Like, typical corrupt man stuff. Yeah.
Also notably not
just like in the fine print at the end of the article, Sepp Blatter was actually the reason he's former president is because he wired money illegally to that guy that we also met. I'm just like, wow, just corruption. It's synonymous with FIFA. And the casual fans' take, I guess, is that, like I said, I don't really watch club soccer outside of hearing it from people around me like you guys. So I don't have that same level of detail that you guys do in terms of like the football season and when it would make most sense to have the World Cup. Obviously, this sounds like it's a nuisance. It's kind of like the Olympic break in the NHL, which you'll see guys get hurt there. So probably not ideal. But selfishly, I'm curious to see how I'm going to view this World Cup compared to past ones. Just from a climate perspective, the excitement, I'm curious to see what it'll be like. But nonetheless, I'm hyped for it. I'll be definitely just throwing it on casually for whatever match is on in my day, just because international soccer, I'll get riled up for that. Yeah.
So my take on this is actually that I actually don't like the idea of having it in the winter because when the soccer season goes on, it aligns like the club season. It aligns with the hockey season, right? Then when the playoffs and the NHL playoff season ends, that's when the World Cup. Give it a week or two after. That's when the World Cup starts. So I would have legitimately 12 months of straight like sports content, sports to watch, right? But now that it's overlapping, it's so weird, I prefer having the summers. You can chill in someone's backyard. You can relax. The nice summer heat on your back while you're watching it. I'm not doing that in Canada.
That's why I became more invested in the Jays this year, right? Because it's like, okay, hockey season ends. I need something else. I've got F1 to give me that little in between time between the Leafs round 1 loss and playoffs. So I mean, and regular season for the Jays. That's the bridge there. Yeah. But I get what you're saying, Brian. I sympathize with that.
And it's like, I don't know if you guys remember, but I believe 2014, Jonathan Tavares got hurt at the Olympics.
Yes, he broke his leg, right?
Yeah. And then it obviously affected the Islanders season that year, right? Your best player's legitimately injured. Could you imagine the outrage if, like, I don't know, Son,
Leo Messi,
Saka, Messi, Mbappe get hurt at the World Cup and it's season ending? Like, that would be ridiculous. Like, the outrage would be crazy from the fans.
For a team like PSG, you brought up a great example right there. And I said Messi, you said Mbappe. For a team like PSG, who have pumped in so much money over the past 10 years into that club, especially over the last 5 with those 2 players in particular and Neymar, who also he's a notable figure to get injured and has been injured at tournaments like this before, notably the 2014 World Cup in his home country. If one of those three goes down and PSG, who are set to play, who are they playing Bayern in the round of 16?
Yeah.
For the Champions League, Brian?
Yes.
That's a real tough matchup for them. If they don't win this year, like for them, they're pumping that money in to win the elusive Champions League that they've never won. So how does that look on FIFA and stuff if one of those players, maybe two of those players goes down this tournament? Like, not saying that it's going to happen, but there are circumstances where
Definitely.
there's definitely a scenario where an injury like that just completely tanks a team. Taking point, PSG tanks their season. So, man.
No, it's definitely. Yep.
So finish your soccer conversation before I have to make this segue to hockey before we go.
I was actually gonna say, like, I was gonna say to you guys, how would you feel if in the Olympics Austin Matthews, knock on wood, career-ending injury at the Olympics?
I would not feel would stop being a part of my vocabulary. I would cease to exist.
Yeah. I would turn to dust like in Avengers Infinity War.
Like your season's over at that point, genuinely, right?
Jesus
Dude, the franchise is over at that point.
Yeah, just fold the franchise, move them to Hamilton.
Yeah.
That's it.
So Brian, Brian, have you looked at the score of your Capitals game? And if you haven't, don't.
No, I know. I saw. Yeah, I saw.
Okay.
I had it open. I saw Sergachev 2 goals, 1 point for 3-0 or something like that, and then I just flashed it again. Yeah, 4-0.
It's 4-0 right now, and I don't know how accurate this picture is that I'm looking at, but apparently Tampa made it 4-0 before Washington got a shot on goal.
Yikes!
I don't think that's ever happened before. If that's true, I don't know if it's a score bug issue, but 4 goals before having a shot on goal, I think I would cease to exist if that happened to the Leafs as well. Like, what would our reaction be?
This guy has 4 points on us.
Dude, I would legitimately like bite through
I'd be in the fetal
like
position,
one
bro. Yeah. I'd be crying in my bed.
Well, like I said, it's early.
Dude, that's a stay off of Twitter moment.
Yes. It's okay, Brian. This is a good cliffhanger to leave everyone on the pod on when we talk next week about the Washington Capitals' historic comeback against the Tampa Bay Lightning that they win 5-4 in overtime.
Yeah, not with this roster. Anyway, so thank you guys.
Alexander Ovechkin 5-goal game. Calling it right now.
Anyway,
he's popping off.
Anyway, thank you guys for listening. Appreciate you guys always being here. If you guys are returning, if this is your first pod, I hope you enjoyed it. Even though we kind of just segued off into random stuff today, hope you enjoyed it regardless. Make sure you guys subscribe to Fubo TV for Hockey Night in Canada, and actually you have full NHL games in the States. You also have the World Cup, which we just talked about on Fubo TV. Use our link down below. Also, make sure to use our link to get any Razor products. Also, use our link to buy the reverse retros that come out on November 15th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Yeah, and that's it, right? 1 p.m. Eastern Time? Beautiful. Okay.
Yeah.
That wraps everything up. I actually have a personal thing I wanted to say. I have 2 really good articles coming out really soon. I'm not going to tell you guys what it is because, well, I don't think they'll step in my territory. It's capital stuff. So that's going to be coming out soon.
Oh, that's what I was looking to write next.
Oh, man. In all seriousness, we need to get more articles out. Like, guys, like, this is we are so bad at that, and that's like our main thing. And obviously, if you guys don't know, check our articles. The pod is just like a supplementary thing as of right now. But anyway, yeah, I have 2 really good articles that I'm working on right now. They're coming out really shortly. Make sure to check them out. And that's everything for me, guys. Oh, get our phone app.
Brian, if you want to self-promote, yeah, keep going.
Yeah, get our phone app.
There's one more.
That. And there's one more thing that I'll let this guy down below say it.
So, Brian, if you want to self-promote, I'll self-promote as well. I've got an article on the way. It's in the drafts right now. Top 10 FIFA songs of all time. something near and dear to my heart. I'm going through the short list right now. I have like legitimately 25 songs on the short list that I got to cut down to 10. There's going to be a couple honorable mentions in there, but be sure to look for that. Give me like some views, please. Like I'm going to be like trying my best for this one. So,
One
you
more
know,
one more
if
thing.
Brian's going to self-promote, I'll self-promote
One
as
more
well.
thing that I thought he was gonna allude to. Subscribe to or watch the TikToks or whatever.
That's
It's
what I
called.
was
Yeah,
Follow.
going to
yeah.
say.
Okay.
That's another thing too.
We're gonna cut it
I
there.
keep saying it every week. Yeah.
We're gonna cut it there. Thanks guys for listening. And that ends it. This was our longest episode.